I'll support you. Hello! Hi everybody. I can't take like a single week away from streaming without feeling like I don't know what I'm doing anymore when I come back. Hello everybody. Welcome Cookie Clicker crew. Cookie Clicker crew and Zek's cursed emote. Hello. Welcome on in, Zek. Dante, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Chase and Rover and Yellow Ring and that horrible cookie holiday cookie emote that Zek put in the chat. Hello, everybody. Hello to us all. I'm gonna take this off because low-key my hair is still drying, and if I put on headphones while my hair is still drying, I get like permanent headphone hair, and it'll last for like a week, so I'm not gonna do it. Hi, Connor. I'm doing like, wow. I've like, personally, I'm doing better than last week, so we'll put it that way. But like, oh my god, I'm so excited about Pride versus Prejudice right now. I'm so excited about it right now. Oh, hello, Exile, but a different name, a fake name, oh, a secret name. Hello, hi, Harvest. roll 'em, smoke 'em. Probably don't need headphones for this stream anyways. Yeah, probably not real. Well, the good news is that I can still hear through my headphones, even though I don't like hear that closely. So I can still hear alerts and things, even if I don't, I don't know. Unless I end up playing Cookie Clicker, in which case I will very desperately need the headphones, because I am like, I'm at the like, for anybody who plays Cookie Clicker, I'm at like the billion prestige level to get like a sense of like, I think that's probably the best way to tell how far you are in the game, I think. So I'm at like the stage where I'm getting like billions in prestige. So I have the cookie alert sounds on and all I do is stack golden cookies. That's my strat. I'm a golden cookie stacker. And it's very satisfying. And so like, is it fun? Is it satisfying? Yes, it's very satisfying. Cookie Clicker can have alert sounds. So when you prestige, when you go legacy, you unlock different like upgrades that you can get. I'm sure you know this, but explaining for anybody who doesn't know, you can get upgrades, and one of the upgrades you get is that when golden cookies appear, you get a sound on screen. Cookie Clicker is a lot more intense than you remembered. Have you even heard of the Grandma Apocalypse? Because like, legitimately, like, I did not know how deep Cookie Clicker is now, and then I started playing and I was like, Cookie Clicker's real deep, y'all. I keep having to look up like lore and strats just to help me get a sense of what is going on. You just look for the light to appear. Oh no, there's too much stuff on the screen. And then when I have it like, you know, minimized when I'm actually working while playing Cookie Clicker and not just sitting there clicking cookies, yeah, it's fine. It's fine. I'm sorry, lore? Yeah, so like, I'm like, is this spoilers? I don't know. Yeah, there's lore. Maybe we should play Cookie Clicker because everybody seems to have many questions. Many questions about it. The mobile version might be simpler. Interesting. Yeah, maybe it would actually end up being a fun game to stream then. I wasn't thinking that it would, you know, I was like half joking, but like I will bring up Cookie Clicker and I will play it if I am allowed to, because like that's basically what I've been doing as I've been these last couple days, as I've been, if I'm sitting at my computer doing anything, then Cookie Clicker's open. That's how it's working. There are there's less achievements in the mobile versions. Interesting. Oh, they've updated it a ton since when we were young, like a ton. It is the same conceptually, but there's a lot there. I'll probably open it up and start playing it then eventually. It also might make my computer slow because I don't think that I have a way to make it not 4K because you don't have the options in the screen to impact how big the screen size is, because that's like how old the game is, I feel like. Or at least I didn't see any when I looked. So it was like making my computer lag when I opened OBS. So we'll see if it's doable. We're still young. What are you talking about? You're right. You're super correct. We are still young. I'm like over here in my like feeling like an old grandma self, like my soul. I feel like I am an old soul. The grandmas do come for you. I actually turned in the Steam version, they have it so that you can turn scary things off. So I turned it off just because there's like worms that appear on the screen. It's fine, but like there's a whole thing to this game that that is like not apparent. Hi Mysterio, good morning. Nice jazzy dance. Oh, definitely a somewhat different curve. Okay. Let me just try to open it up because I think that it'll be fun to have it. Does that work? Okay, it'll probably stay. It'll be fun to. What? That sounds so cool. Enjoy your knitting, oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah, so I'll probably here. Let me see if I can pull it open and get it functioning. Let's see if I can find, because I might be able to find a way to open it up and then maybe minimize it so that it won't lag the whole computer. Let's see. Is it lagging? Is it lagging? It is not lagging. Wow. Okay, cool. Then let me just pull it open and I'll show you guys where I'm at, what I've been doing. I'm at 15.872 duodecillion cookies right now. That's where I'm at. I didn't actually test to see whether the game OBS picks up the game at all, so it might take me a hot second to see which. Oh, is that gonna be a problem for figuring? Ooh, that might actually be a problem for getting to. Interesting. Cookie Clicker updates the number of cookies in the window while it's running, and because it's doing that, I can't select the window to show on OBS because it constantly updates, like it reads to OBS like it's a new window because it's changing the number of cookies. That is funny. It's fine. I'll be able to capture it a different way, but I think that is kind of hilarious. Hi, Violet. Duodecillion, don't worry about it. I've had a very healthy relationship with Cookie Clicker over the last couple of days, I swear. Hello, Holly. How are you doing? Okay, let me do a window capture, and that'll probably, yep, that one's got it. So, yo, listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives. Can I just like right click and say like full screen? Transform. Fit to screen. Perfect. Okay. Whee. It me. Okay. I'll put myself down here, I guess, because this is probably the least, oh. I said fit to screen, but look at how it has made it look instead of fitting it to the actual screen. Let's see, stretch to screen. There we go. Perfect. Okay.
I'll support
Cookie you. Clicker. Now, Merrick, hello. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. I'm doing better today than I was doing last week. So it's very good. You're only on Nonillion, much healthier. Sure. So yeah, this is my, oh, let me turn on the music for you guys. I'll turn off Spotify and turn on the music for you so you can see what I'm saying about, let me see how much that is gonna read. How does that show up on OBS? It's gonna be very quiet no matter what, except for the, sound effects for like picking up the cookies, because those are the sound effects that I listen to, is the sound effects for picking up cookies. Why am I further than you on Cookie Clicker? Because I definitely, if there's one thing that I know how to do, it's min-max. I know how to min-max, and I have min-maxed a lot. So we're here. I'm actually on 1 billion. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna legacy. I'm gonna prestige now because I think that that will probably be the easiest way to communicate what's been going on. Now so this is where I'm at. I have, what is this? That's about like 16 billion prestige. So like what happens during this game is that like it keeps track of the overall amount of cookies that you make, and then eventually it starts filling up a bar, and when it fills up the bar, you get a prestige level and you get a heavenly chip. You can spend the heavenly chips on upgrades. The prestige level each level increases your clicks per second by 1%. So I have 11.8 billion prestige, and so my clicks are being multiplied by 11.8 billion%. You did the cats on, oh yeah. No, yeah, the cats are really, they're really, I actually need to update it because I got a higher cat, and the higher cats are really useful. So I'm like what's called an active player for a lot of idle games, meaning that I like leave it open and I actively return to it and play it a lot. Versus there's passive and hybrid players. So passive players just like leave it, open it up, leave it on during the day, maybe even all night, and just collect cookies that way. But I'm an active player because I find it very satisfying to like, oh gosh, if I get a stack, you guys are gonna see the stack and it's gonna be nice. You're not entirely sure what it means. Min-maxing is basically like exploiting the game to get the maximum amount of effect for the minimum amount of input. And so in this case, it would be like getting all of the best upgrades first so that you can like maximize or minimize the amount of time it takes for you to get the maximum amount of cookies, basically. Hi, Zmihan. Saving up for the next kitten upgrade is, yeah, it tends to be a struggle. Let me see if there is anything that I can afford to unlock at the moment. I just unlocked those things. So I have a ton of upgrades, and it's probably not worth explaining what all these are. I don't think I can afford any upgrades because I think my next upgrades are at 9 billion. 9 billion, 50 billion, 15, 77 billion. I really want this one because I'm a clicker. So I don't like click during any, whatever. I will reincarnate and then I don't know, I guess I'll explain as I go. There are less upgrades. So I'm not sure if there might be less upgrades. There genuinely might be. But also the upgrades only appear when you buy the other upgrades. So if you haven't bought Heralds, then you can't see any of this stuff on the side of the screen. And so you only get to see all of the upgrades when you start buying them. Also, upgrades like these are secret upgrades, so you have to fulfill certain requirements in order for them to even appear. When you prestige, listen, this game is just way more in depth. Oh, but you've looked at the wiki? Got it. Interesting. See, there's no cookie clicker on Apple iOS because I looked and I wanted to play it and I couldn't, so... Enjoy getting some water. A hardcore power gamer, I'm officially scary. Speaking of, I was wanting to try playing Dark Souls again soon. So here, let me reincarnate. So I have some upgrades that allow me to start with 10 cursors and 5 grandmas. And then you can see that we already have, these are Christmas upgrades that we have because I have an upgrade that lets me keep seasonal upgrades. It's probably not important. Anyways, what happens after you prestige is that you have to slowly unlock more prestige level like as you go. So right now for 11 cookies, I can unlock 5% of my full potential. So that's why I'm only making 2,600 cookies per second. But as I start unlocking the prestige level, just 5% of my prestige level raises my cookies to 15.7 billion. Now it's at 78 billion. And anyways, I'm at a high enough level that I unlocked a thing that just lets me buy all possible upgrades so that I don't have to click a million times. So, that's what I'm doing. The only idle / clicker game you ever enjoyed. I really like idle games, all of them, and this one's a really fun one because they just have a lot of fun things that you can do. So this will make 100% of the prestige, and then we're gonna start buying things in the hundreds because that's the kind of scale that I'm at now. I've played a lot of this game. I've played a lot of this game. All right, give it a hot second. Going back up, clicking, 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 clicking. All right, now let's upgrade things. We're at 16.8 septillion. Now we're at 672 octillion. Now we're at 5.9 nonillion. Let's keep buying things. You see how I get, you see the problem. You never understood what was so great about Dark Souls. So when I started playing Dark Souls, it was as a reward for the chat, for you guys, because you voted for it essentially. And I was sure I was not going to like Dark Souls, but then I started playing it and I was really good at it. And I actually really like Dark Souls now. Like it's really fun for me. So, yeah. You find them so satisfying. I don't know if I like idle games, but I find them satisfying. That's very real. That's very relatable. I've been sitting here playing Cookie Clicker, like, wondering whether I'm having fun or whether I can say that I'm enjoying myself. I wouldn't necessarily describe this. I mean, I think Cookie Clicker is fun. I would say not all idle games are fun. And, like, you get into that dopamine feedback loop, you know? But I would say that Cookie Clicker is actually a fun idle game. So we have the research center going, and that's going to become important in a hot second. So how are we doing? 13.5 decillion is where we're at. To try Bloodborne. I probably will. I'm looking forward to playing Dark Souls again. I want to have enough energy and like mental energy to be able to do that. Honestly, that's been a lot of my troubles with the kinds of games that I'm streaming at the moment, is that I'm sure you guys figured it out, but I'm going through something. And so at the moment I'm like trying to juggle my like spoons pretty effectively with what's going on, and it's kind of holding me up on certain things. So but I really do want to return to them and play more of that. They tend to make you more likely to sit and watch content and play them instead of getting bored and being productive. Cookie Clicker has no microtransactions or asking for money. Yeah, exactly. Like, use a clicker game for microtransactions, I think, is like really kind of pretty unfair. All right, we're going to Valentine's Day real quick so that I can get all of the percentage bonuses from Valentine's Day. See, Dark Souls 2 was the first game that I played as well. And that's the process that I actually really liked about it. Sorry, is that, as I played, so first of all, I was very scared and I was sure I was going to be bad. And then everybody was telling me that I was good, so I guess I wasn't bad. But as I played, I started seeing it as a puzzle game. And so fighting the bosses started feeling like a puzzle game. And getting to the bosses relatively unscathed also felt like a puzzle game to me. So it all kind of played together into, I guess for me also, I didn't have any level of, fear about losing my souls. Like, that's part of it, is that like I didn't have any fear while playing Dark Souls, and I think that if you're afraid while playing Dark Souls, you probably tend to not have as fun of an experience. Whereas I was just going in smacking things with a freaking mace, and that's all I wanted to do, so I got it done. I was very satisfied smacking things with a mace. I had no other expectations. Thanks, Bully Birdie. I'm sure it'll get better over time. It will. That's the only choice. Hello, Coop. BitLife? I'm not sure what BitLife is. Is it an idle game? It shows you an ad at the bottom of the screen on Android, and that's it. I think maybe. I'm guessing here, but I think it does depend on like your own individual gauge for both failure and then also for liking the kind of gameplay that Dark Souls has. If you don't like that kind of gameplay, it's just not going to be fun for you no matter what. For me, I love the process of learning and figuring things out and figuring how to get better at stuff. And initially when I played Dark Souls, I expected it to be just kind of like brutally hard for no reason, like unfairly hard just because it's the hard gamer game. But as I was playing, I realized that it actually was pretty fair. This all being said, like, from what everybody has said to me, I do not have a normal play style for Dark Souls. I do not play the game like the way most people play it, so grain of salt with that. Like, I don't know that my strat would work with people using a different weapon set or different levels that they're trying to, different, like, stats that they're trying to build towards. But I really enjoyed, like, figuring it out over time, I guess. I also, like, am, like, a person who loves learning, and part of loving learning means that you have to really love failing. You have to really love failing at things because that is the only way you learn, is by failing. You can handle hard games if you immediately get to try again. BitLife is like, oh, a text-only version of The Sims. Really? Interesting. Interesting. The Dark Souls 2 VODs. I hear they're very fun. So anyways, we're still earning more cookies. I'm like not even paying attention. It says the shimmering veil disappears. This is an upgrade that you get. And essentially what it does is it increases the amount of cookies that you make in the beginning by 50% as long as you don't click a golden cookie or click the big cookie or click any reindeer. And so I clicked the big cookie and you heard the noise, which meant that the veil disappeared. But for me, the veil is usually just something that like carries me through to the point where I'm like here now in the Decillion-ish area. So it just makes it faster for me to get back to where I was before I prestiged. And there's different ways that you can play this game, but the way that I play it is usually with like fast, frequent prestiges to go back to get specific upgrades, and then just kind of zooming right back to where I started. And I can show you how I do that eventually when I show you what I do with the golden cookies. But because golden cookie effects are random, so for those who haven't played this game, golden cookies are cookies that appear on the screen, you click them, and then they give you a random beneficial effect. I clicked one, and right now we have bonus cookie production, which is very exciting. So they can have a bunch of different effects, and my strategy is basically stacking golden cookies 5-ever. That's what I do when I play this game. So eventually we'll get enough of the proper stacks that you'll see kind of what, like, you'll see how I've been able to progress really fast in this game is actually what will happen. Let me hatch the dragon. And then I always go for dragon flight with the dragon. Let me rebuy all the stuff that I sold. I had to sacrifice buildings in order to make the dragon love me. So I have to do this to refuel. And then additionally one more time so that I can get 2 aura spots. I'm sorry, at this point I'm like a well-oiled machine with this game, so I'm like not clearly explaining what I am doing, but just keep in mind that what I am doing is making a lot of cookies. That's what I'm doing. Eventually this kind of more active phase of gameplay that I'm in will stop because I won't need to buy as many upgrades. And at that point, I just sit around waiting for golden cookies to appear, and that's my life at that point on. Am I enslaving grandmas? What? Me? No. No. You usually prestige multiple times a day. You've been playing for 3 days this prestige. Yeah, my first prestige lasted for like 10 days or something obnoxious. Hi, Smee. Aw. Well, I'm sorry that you're not feeling well. That really sucks. But I hope that you have a lovely, relaxing time as you go to sleep. What does a dragon have to do with clicking? What? His name? This is Crumblor. He's Crumblor the cookie dragon. Oh, you can't even see because let me move my head. Oops. Or the game, I guess. Let me move my, there we go. It's Crumbler the Cookie Dragon. He's fully trained. So Crumbler the Cookie Dragon can get these things, can get these auras, and they all have different effects on the game. I pick Dragonflight and then the Prism because the Prism gives you ×2 cookie production just flat out. Dragonflight is something special. If it happens, I will let you know. It's very good. It's very good. Hi, Coop. Okay, putting my head back down here. You always get to the point where you try to combo. Yeah, exactly, Harvest. Exactly. How did the cold stream go? It went really well, actually. We were doing totally fine. I want to replay that game again after there's some new updates, because after the stream that we did, I went and I started my own file and just kind of played through the game to see what all is there. And there's not that much that changes because so many features still aren't implemented. It's kind of a straight line up to the top. And I'd rather continue playing the Fold Colt when there's a little bit more of a challenge and a risk that we'll all die. So it's basically in the same limbo that our Going Medieval playthrough is, where it's like we're waiting for additional features to come in to make it more exciting to when we see who's gonna live and who dies. Undecillion before. Yeah, same. Oh, good. I'm glad the quest is doing okay. My head on top of the big cookie? That's a good question. Oh, you thought me? No, I'm not. Oh, Smee was leaving. No. Combos are what make the big cookies. It's true. So now we just sit and wait, except as soon as I get the opportunity, I'm going to click on this and we're going to swap over to Santa's whole situation here. Because essentially so you can unlock seasons. Seasons happen naturally throughout the year for Cookie Clicker, like the holiday season happens during Christmas and all that. But you can unlock a season picker, and then each playthrough you can swap seasons, and you have different benefits that come with it. Valentine's Day, you just get to straight up buy the upgrades. Christmas, you get to buy some upgrades, and then you also get reindeer that'll be appearing across the screen. I hate that so much. So, let me buy those. This is the festive test tube, and you can see what's happening on the right. All I'm doing is I'm evolving it and I'm sacrificing cookies, which at this point I have so many cookies that you literally can't tell that I'm sacrificing any. But you can see on the left side of my face what it is evolving into. And then it evolves into this, which is called Final Claws. And it hangs out here with my dragon. And the upgrades pretty significantly impact how much money you make, so that's good. Oh no, I hope it's not COVID. Well, I hope that whatever it is passes very quickly. Move camera so it hovers over the cookie. Oh, that's very funny, but I don't want to do it because I want you guys to see how much money we're gonna make from the cookies once I stack golden cookies. That's a good idea though. I can probably do that after. I don't know how long it's gonna take. It's really random every playthrough because it's like you have to wait for the golden cookies to appear and then you have to try to stack them, and it's just a waiting game. So we'll see. The Cara clicker. Santa Eldritch Horror. Indeed. There's a lot of Eldritch Horror in this game, which I guess if we're going to do that this time, then I will, like, I turn the scary stuff off just because, it's not, like, scary to me. I just like seeing cute things. But I'll keep it in its organic form so that as we go through the game, you guys can actually see what happens in the game. Golden cookie. Perfect. Now let's hope we get another really good golden cookie going. The desktop version's nice, I'm not gonna lie. I can't compare it to the mobile because we don't have access to the mobile on iOS, but it is very fun. Man, COVID symptoms are all over the place, but what? Me? Cute things? I know. It's Just not the kind of thing you would expect from me. Takes out, like, bow from hair. My room is like, I feel like generally my entire apartment is a very cute space. My aesthetic is, I like cute, nice, happy things. So what? Sue me. Eldritch Horror sells really well. Imagine going back in time and telling Lovecraft his themes and motifs are going to be incorporated into literally everything. We go for cute Eldritch Horror here. That's us. Dark Souls and cute things. I got my hair cut, by the way. I don't know that you can tell aside from the fact that my hair is like more curly than usual. Huh. So that's fun. Yeah. Oh, that is very possible. I mean, definitely err on the side of caution just in case. But you got vaccinated, right? If you got vaccinated, then you're probably gonna be fine. So yeah, reindeers appear. I need to keep this on me so that I can hear the golden cookies. Reindeers appear, and they give you an amount of cookies, and then occasionally clicking on a reindeer unlocks a Christmas cookie, which is like an upgrade that boosts your CPM. So once you have all of the reindeer cookies, which I've never actually gotten before, then you can move on to some of the other days. By your mere existence as a biracial American. That's that's fair. Magu-chan, God of Destruction. Oh, I've heard of that. I've actually heard of that manga, so it must be good. I only get like recommended either really, really, really weird or really good anime at this point. You're spending today just laying around. Good, good. That's exactly what you need to do when you're feeling sick. Let me tell you, when you're just, whether it's a bad brain day or a bad body day, you just gotta give yourself the time. And you're worried about them? Sorry. From what I've read, what the experts say about like recommending other people get vaccinated is like, it's okay to start a conversation with them about it. If they have like pushback and they're like, I don't want to get vaccinated because of XYZ, then it's important to empathize with their reasoning rather than like telling them like, oh, well, your thought there is wrong. And like, actually the science says this. Because usually when people are avoiding vaccines for any reason, it's much more of an emotional, an emotional thing, and like trying to combat that with information just doesn't really work. And plus, like, these are people that you care about, so you don't want to like come out like holier than thou and risk damaging the relationship. So I think that it's fair that if you want to, you can ask them about it and see what their thoughts are about it. Empathize with them if they don't want to get the vaccine. You don't have to agree with them, but you can empathize with them regardless. And, you know, sometimes knowing, from what I've seen, sometimes them knowing that somebody they know has gotten the vaccine is enough to push some people towards it. So that's at least what I've been reading online. Ooh, Dragonflight! Okay, so ordinarily, well, you can see the numbers going up. Ordinarily, I like to, this is Dragonflight, and what it does is it increases your clicking power by times 1,111. So if you can stack Dragonflight with other golden cookie buffs, you're golden. But regardless, Dragonflight on its own is a really great way to get a whole bunch of cookies. You can see I just shot up to 60 million prestige without even really needing to do anything. Hey, Rom! So it's a good day. Rom, thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Hello. Deer Park's ice cream lady by explaining what RNA was. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hell yeah, Yellow Ring. Hell yeah. You've asked and they say they don't want it. They don't have any particular reason. They just don't feel like it. Ah, well, if it's just them not feeling like it, then maybe it's worth, maybe it's worth talking to them about it again and letting them know that you're really worried about them. You're worried about their health. You don't want anything to happen to them. And see if that maybe helps sway them in one direction or another. It's, yeah, you know, yeah, it's really, really, really hard. It can be really hard to have empathy for people in the climate that we're in. But I think that the most important thing as far as that goes is just to remember that, like, empathy is what changes minds, and you don't tend to change minds without empathy. And so, like, that's what keeps me, like, you know, keeps me in check when in the moments when I'm wanting to get really frustrated. I'm like, okay, but, like, it doesn't matter how frustrated I am. If I'm going for a goal, then me getting frustrated isn't going to help. And, you know, that's how I've been handling it. I can't speak for anybody else but me. Projects which will surface soon. Secret project. Yeah, well, and that's the other thing there, Yellow Ring, is that you're right. If they don't want to have the conversation, you can't make them have the conversation, and don't. Like, one of the things that I keep reminding myself is that everybody, whether they should or not, that's a debate that we can have. But regardless, everybody has the right to make dumb decisions. Everybody has the right to make, like, completely terrible mistakes. I mean, I'm sure we've all had the situations where we have a friend and, like, maybe they're, like, getting into a relationship or, like, a business or, like, an MLM or something like that. And, like, we see it a mile away and we're like, hey, just so you know, that's very alarming and I'm worried about you. And, like, you can warn them up and down, but ultimately, like, if that's the space they're in and they want to, and like, they're like, you know what? I know you don't think it's a good idea, but I'm going to do it anyways. Then people have that. People have the right to make their own bad decisions and to discover that decisions are mistakes or aren't mistakes, themselves. So, so I remind myself of that a lot. Because I've made a lot of bad decisions that people actively told me were bad decisions in the moment, and I was like, you're wrong! But they were right. Attract more flies with honey than with vinegar. It's true. Is true. Yeah, it does. It pushes people away and it damages relationships. And it's important to remember that, like, we're in a really, like, historically speaking, like, we're in a really just tumultuous, conflicting up and down time, right? Everything feels kind of touch and go. And, like, humans responding in this way with, like, vaccine denial and, like, conspiracy theories and all of that, that's actually super normal. It's actually really normal for people to respond that way. Like, historically, if we go back and we look at, like, basically any other, not just any other pandemic, but any other time history was very tumultuous, you get that. Like, people, they, like, we all, like, we are at the mercy of our own weird human brains, and, like, the things we do to cope don't always make sense. And a lot of the times people, like, get far enough away from the event that was, like, a big deal, and everybody's like, yeah, what were we thinking back then? That was weird. But I don't know. The way I feel about it is that it really can happen to anybody if the ingredients are in the right place. So I don't know. I think maybe because I've had, like, to be with you, right? I've had my own experience with, like, people messing with you mentally. So, like, for me, I feel very, like, very strongly that, like, this could happen to anyone. So I don't want to, you know, I wish that they would behave differently, but I don't necessarily want to, like, write people off for those reasons, if that makes sense. Yeah. That's just how I feel about it. Hey, Selenoid! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. That's fair, Dante. Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, what I was saying was you can argue about whether people have the right to make those dumb decisions, and, like, that's where I think that comes in, Dante, because, like, I mean, I have my own perspective on it, but we don't necessarily need to get into it, because I don't think that us, like, I don't think us talking about it will, like, I think we probably here. I think we probably mostly agree with each other about that. So I don't know that, like, it's just a stressful conversation, but I don't know that we'll, like, get anything valuable out of talking about it, I guess, is... I'm, like, trying to weigh, like, the stressfulness of conversations compared to the overall benefit that it might have for people. You've reduced how much you talk about. Yeah. And you want to be better than that. This year and last year, yeah, they really have been. They really have been a lot to process. I saw a statistic that kind of blew my mind, which was that apparently globally, across the entire world, anxiety and depression has risen by 25%. 1 in 4 humans on the planet is now experiencing, like, anxiety or depression because of how tumultuous the last couple of years have been. And I mean, that sucks. Don't get me wrong, but also at the same level, I like I saw that number and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to cut myself way more slack now because, like, I have been having a hard time with, like, my mental health, and so has everybody." So, we're not alone, at least. These are just, you know, we're just living through exceptional times and nobody's really prepped to handle them, you know? So, if you give people the benefit of the doubt, yeah. Yeah. Everything I say is right. You know me. Only 1 out of 4. Well, that's what's been reported, and that's also, they're saying 1 in 4 more people. So that doesn't count. That's not counting how many people already had anxiety and depression before. So it's probably closer to, like, 1 in 2 people at this point. And I'm impressed. Like, who's the 1 in 2 who doesn't? Like, who are they? Something nostalgia for the 90s. Well, I don't know. I'm really sitting here like, what was it like to grow up during the like, Cold War? Because, like, this feels pretty stressful, but at least we don't have the threat of nuclear Armageddon hanging over our heads. So, like, how stressed? You know, I keep, like, thinking back to other times in history and being like, so if this is like this, then what was that like? You know? Good night, Smee. We don't what? I'm sorry, I'm not sure which we don't you're referring to. Oh. We don't not in the way that, like, you know, not in the way that we literally had, like, 5 seconds from potential nuclear Armageddon on our hands. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, yes, there is technically the threat of nuclear Armageddon, but we aren't literally, like, you know what I'm saying. There were multiple times during the 1960s when it literally looked like at any second they were gonna launch nukes, and that's not where we're at. Things were better back in my day. Generally speaking, this is the best it's ever been. Yeah, that's pretty true. That is still pretty true. That is still pretty true. We are very lucky. Although I wonder about old civilizations, because we always think that we're so much more technologically advanced than old civilizations, and I'm really, like, I mean, technologically advanced, sure, but I'm really skeptical of that idea that, like, back in the day, everybody was cavemen and nobody knew anything. Like, we had the Dark Ages, right? We had the medieval age, which was literally a time when, like, everything we knew about the world was hidden. So we actively regressed in terms of our understanding about the world. So I'm sure that there's been other time, like, I'm pretty sure, I mean, If in ancient Mesopotamia they had enough knowledge to build an aqueduct and also construct the entire city so that the entire city was air conditioned just based off of how the buildings were constructed in relation to where the wind blew, I'm pretty sure that they might have been maybe a little bit advanced. Maybe. But we also don't know that much about like the Indus River Valley civilization, so. Back in my day. Oh, I forgot about school bullying in the 90s. I have like watched a really traumatizing video about how school bullying was bad. That's hilarious and also not surprising at all. Considering we've got this wonderful, incredibly smart, in no way ever going to hurt us theory that we should make a bunch of stuff that breaks so that people have to buy it again later. Definitely a smart decision, not ever gonna come back to bite us. I hate that so much. Sorry. The relative boomer. I don't even think that you're the relative boomer, Rom. I'll have you know that like my chat skews old. Not most people, but like a very sizable portion of my chat is much older than me. I don't know what it is that I tend to hang out with people who are at least 5 years older than me, but that is where I'm at. Hey, Play the Hits, hello! Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. So we're at this point in the game. Oh, cool. We're at this point in the game and there's something I would like to show you guys, and it's that we are going to make the grandmas evil. Look at evil grandma. So we're by doing this research, we're making the grandmas an eldritch abomination, and we're gonna start seeing worms on the screen, which is fine. I'm gonna swap to Halloween for that reason, because the worms are gonna start coming on the screen. Much older, much older. You're only a year or two older. That's fair. That's fair. I just mean that we do have a wide age range. One of the young people. I mean, that's the lore. The lore is that, yes, indeed, we are enslaving the grandmas. That is the lore. That is the lore, indeed. Oh. Cookie. So these are the wrinklers. They're the worm things. These are the wrinklers. And what they do is they eat your cookies. So they remove 5% of your cookie production, but you can explode them. And when you explode them, they give all the cookies back plus a little bit extra. On top of that, the more of them you have, the more cookies you get. So the more wrinklers come on the screen, their cookies are like not necessarily cumulative, but like the math for them is. So if another wrinkler comes on the screen, then when I pop them, I get more cookies overall than I would have gotten if I had only popped one at a time. That's all you need to know. There's like math, but I don't. Zoomer. That's what I'm saying though. We have young, we have my age, and then we have older than me, and we have all kinds in this space, which is very neat, I think. Like most people, I don't remember much from the 70s. That's like what all of the people I know who've lived through the 70s as like teen, young adult, that's what they all say. We talk about the 70s and they're all like, ah. And I'm like, just like standing there being like, are you like reminiscing about free love or like... Born in the 80s, mostly remember the 90s. Obviously, I was born in the 90s, and my parents are actual boomers. That's why, like, we're not boomers because we're not like 60. Boomers are 60 now. Boomers are 60 and older now. Not since Woodstock. Party too hardy. Partied too hardy. That's what I'm understanding from that. So anyways, yeah, this is basically Cookie Clicker. There you go. That's everything that you kind of need to know about Cookie Clicker. I didn't explain anything, but I'm getting new achievements now because we're buying new stuff. So let me show you, like, so these are all the achievements that I've unlocked so far. I'm actually, like, kind of getting close to finishing the achievements. So that's fun. I'm at 369 out of 518, or 71% of achievements. And we're currently floating around in cherry milk. Haha, in the 70s I was a coke dealer. Why would you just say that to why would you just say that to to a stranger? We know how well that worked. Well, the youngest millennials, I'm basically one of the youngest millennials. I think it's 2 years past me, depending on like the metric that you take, cuz like people fight about when the change happens. I saw 95. So here's the thing. I like genuinely am suspicious that like I feel like cuz like I speak with older millennials on a regular basis in order to conduct market research. And I feel like I have more of an understanding of Zoomer humor than people who are on the other end of the millennial scale, because I'm on the young side of the millennial scale, and then there's people on the older side of the millennial scale. I don't 100% get Zoomer humor, but I do think I get it generally more than the people that I've talked to who are on the older side. Do you prefer calling yourself Gen Y? Oh, okay, it wasn't a stranger. Oh, well, that makes more sense. But it was still out of nowhere. Oh, gross. Whoa, there's no way I'm an old Zoomer. No offense, but like, there's no way that I'm an old, well, no. Cause I'm really, like, for me, and like, I'm not a generational analyzing whatever. So whatever. But for me, what really distinguishes millennials as millennials is being, like, specifically growing up, not being around for, but specifically growing up with technology as it was becoming prolific. So starting from not really having that much technology and then coming to, like, now technology is everywhere. For me, millennials are the people who were young adults and teens and children at the time that this process was happening. And we're millennials because we, like, that tends to give us a really unique perspective on technology that neither Gen Z nor Gen Y or boomers have, because they don't have, like, apparently they've done, I don't know if these studies even hold up, but apparently they've done studies saying that millennials tend to be better at problem solving and stuff like that, because we have in our heads kind of a more intuitive understanding of both how new technology works, but also how things used to be back before we had technology. And so we're able to, like, bridge the gap and see use cases for technology in modern society in a way that, like, they thought that would translate to Gen Z, but then they found out that it doesn't translate to Gen Z. And Gen Z now is very good with tech, but doesn't necessarily have the same, like, perspective on how to integrate tech with daily life. I wonder how true that is, but I don't know. It's hard to, like, know. Now the grandmas are more evil. iGeneration. Yeah! You're part of it. Card catalogs in the library. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Before Zoomer happened, the iGeneration. Yeah. Who wants to be branded after Apple? Gave you the gift of enjoying Zoomer humor culture. I think Zoomer, yeah. I think, like, Zoomer culture is really like, I think Zoomer culture is more impenetrable than our culture was when we were younger, because it's so technology based that it like becomes this like really rapid feedback loop. And so like you're basically going through language iteration really, really, really fast, and that's making for interesting and strange like slang in a way that like doesn't make the same kind of sense that slang used to make. From if I'm like understanding what boomers, because like boomers are looking at zoomers and they're like, what even in the hell? Like they hated millennials, but they look at zoomers and they're like, zoomers are like, there's, you can't understand anything about them. So like if I'm guessing that right, I think that's why boomers are like about it. That's fair. Sorry. I mean, I understand that it's not representative of like every single person, but that is the point of generations, is talking about large generational trends rather than trying to include everybody specifically. Which is like, you know, maybe looking at the impact of tech, because that's usually the way that we do it for generations, and that's probably not the best. Like, there's a lot of other measures you can focus on for generations. The internet must go before the Zoomers destroy us all. Well, it's happening. Facebook is in some hot water at the moment. I hope something happens from it. Our time is nigh. Old man. Friendster and Newgrounds? Zoomers were born around that time, but Zoomers didn't start becoming like cognitively aware, I guess, until like maybe like the mid 2000s, I would say. I'm like thinking, because like my little sister is basically like a Zoomer, actually. And so like using her age, I'm like, she like probably like, it was like mid 2000s when she kind of gained more of an awareness of like, you know, transition from a child to like a teen. Oh, tech has been, yeah, understanding tech is the only way to really understand what exactly is going on right now in America specifically, because a lot of our problems are coming from tech at the moment, just because like it's a new industry and we haven't regulated it. And so that tends to like, you know, that happened with railroads too, and with oil barons, and with lots of different industries. Is like before we regulated them, they kind of like had a lot of really strong impacts on society and culture before we were like, hey, maybe these 3 guys who own the railways shouldn't control America. Have you thought about that? Reddit is where the Zoomers live? Really? Not TikTok? Some Zoomers now use Newgrounds. Oh God. Is it like an ironic thing, or are they doing it for real? Man, this is a lot for me. Yeah. Same, except I was young and you didn't, it's fine. I lied and got on Facebook when I wasn't supposed to, when I was at an age when I wasn't supposed to be on it, and thank God, nothing that I posted in the early days of Facebook has made it through the annals of history. Thank God. I'm so glad social media didn't exist when I was younger, and I'm actually really glad my parents didn't let me have a phone until I was 14. Ugh. Some do for real? Wild. New technologies, yeah, they do tend to run amok. They do tend to run amok and do all kinds of things. New technologies. Speaking of, I know that this happened a while back. Well, a while back. A whole week ago, but like a while back, because like a while back is a week ago. Yeah. Yeah, I used to play a lot of games on Facebook too, and then I found out how much information those games were actually taking from me, and it's fine. I'm the one person in my family who doesn't use Facebook, and like literally nobody understands. It's fine. It's fine. I know. I make oddball choices about my life and content, and my family lets me know it. um Oh, that would be great, because that was always kind of the most fun thing about Newgrounds. I mean, Lord knows we need more competition for. We need more places for people to exhibit things. We need more platforms so that people have mobility to move around between them. You know what I mean? Um, but anyways, all that Twitch stuff happened last week, and I just wanted to, like, I don't know, I guess open the floor to talk about it if anybody wanted to talk about it. Okay, Grandma's gonna become super mean now. Look, Eldritch Grandma. Because I think that there was a lot of things that happened in the Twitch leak that you can, that like to talk. What about Twitch do you want to talk? I mean, okay, so for me, more than YouTube. We do need for there to be more than we need there to be more than one platform, but also like we need a lot. We need a lot of things. I was talking to one of my friends who was talking about how she was like, she believes, and Heike, you're gonna tell where on the political spectrum my friend is by the suggestion alone. But she was talking about how she believes that Amazon and also social media companies should be changed to be like publicly, like federally owned things that like essentially are like utility companies. They're like a public good, and so instead of necessarily worrying about directly profiting off of things, they're something that is like treated like infrastructure. And I found that very, very fascinating. And I think that like when we're talking about we need more than YouTube, I think like thinking about it in terms of that is kind of part of it, because part of the problem is that we need versions of these websites that aren't for profit, so that you're not forced to monetize ugly aspects of human nature just to break even, you know. But she like linked me an article about it, and then I didn't read it, so I don't have any more like additional information on like how they were planning on like what the nitty-gritty of that proposal was. But it was very interesting to consider, because I can see how I can see both how that could go well and how it could go poorly. Fudge. Okay. The Leakers Manifesto. Yeah. Well, more so what I wanted to talk about with the Twitch leaks, which like I had my information leaked during that, so that was like very unpleasant. That it was very unpleasant. Listen, just as transparency, I have PTSD, so I don't take things that happen without my consent very well. Like it doesn't function well for my brain. It doesn't go well for me. So like that aspect of it happened, but more importantly, in revealing that financial info, I think that they revealed a lot of actually important information about Twitch that I think like kind of deserves to be talked about. Cece, hello! 52 months. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold, Cece. Okay, hang on. Yeah, it didn't get far. I mean, I don't know that America would ever do it, but I don't think it's a bad idea. Hang on. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that, Chase. But that's why I think that's why looking at it as a utilities company, which actually I'm not sure how utility companies are handled in Canada, so I can't compare to Canada. But here, utility companies, like, you can have them publicly owned, but not necessarily owned by the state or the federal government. They're, like, owned by, like, the utility company that I have up here is that way. And like, because they're publicly owned in this way, they spend all of their money improving the electric grid. Like, actually, like, they spend a lot of their money upgrading the grid and not really worrying about acquiring new customers, because that's not the point. It's not about the profit. So I think that there's a way to do it, but I agree that like making it federal would be probably bad. Hi! Hello, it's Bees! How are you? I've been seeing that we've been playing Cookie Clicker at the same. I like see you pop up playing Cookie Clicker, and I'm like, I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty well, I would say. I've got things that I'm very excited about. My mental health has been fluctuating, but like outside of that specific aspect, there's no big crisis in my life. Interesting. Gotcha. And now you play it on Steam. Yeah, I'm having a really great time with it. I'm definitely the kind of person who like, I'm gonna blow through this game in however long it takes me to blow through it, and then I'm not gonna go back to it because that's just my style. But I'm really having a fun time with it. I am. Anti-crisis is great news. That's great. Oh my god, congratulations. That's great news. Oh. My therapist has been really helping me out. So sorry, I like introduced a topic and then I was like, let's talk about it. It needs to be talked about, and then I didn't talk about it. Grandma's not okay, but it's fine. Don't worry about it. She's got a hive mind now. Grandma's even happier than ever before. So basically this is the thing that I wanted to talk about with the Twitch leaks.
I'll support you.
Lalitate. Well then thank you for resubscribing and showing your support. I appreciate it. I do use Twitch to survive, so I appreciate the support even if you don't watch Twitch anymore. Relatable. Okay. I'm gonna stop paying attention to chat so that I can like say the thing that I'm trying to say. So in the financial info that they dumped the 10,000 top earning streamers, what they earned. And I didn't actually read their manifesto. Like, I didn't actually read why they did all this. I know that it had something to do with, like, they wanted revenge against a toxic community or something like that. Twitch is bad and toxic. Okay. Sure. Sure. But they released and they dumped all of this financial information. And so now we actually have an understanding of who the 10,000 most top earning people on Twitch are and how much they make. And the thing that struck me about that is that, number one, those reasons were essentially it. Well, there you go. Number one, I was on that list, which was news to me because I don't make that much money from Twitch. Like, and that's kind of why I want to talk about it. So, I was 7,500th-ish around there on this list out of 10,000 people, of the 10,000 top earning people on Twitch, out of 2.9 million people who stream monthly on Twitch. Yeah, I know. Yes. Listen, this is why I want to talk about it, because I feel like it's important. I'm on that list at 7,500, and that list covers about 2 years of earnings. During that 2 years of earnings at 7,500, I'm at like 30,000 for those 2 years, which means 15,000 per year is where I'm at. So full disclosure, there you go. That's the information. You got it. Congrats. I don't know. So, but like that, this is what I'm wanting to say is that, okay, so you have like the top 100, right? Or the top 50, I think were in the $1 million range. And then you have the top 100 where people are like still making decent money. And then after that, you have like people like me where I'm not saying that the amount of money I earn is small. I think it's that's a lot of money. It's nothing to sneeze at. That's not what I'm trying to say here. But rather that like, if $15,000 per year is like the poverty line in America, It's still below the poverty line. So if I'm in the top 10,000 most earning streamers on Twitch, and I earn below the poverty line amounts of money, and I'm 7,500 out of the 10,000, do we understand how much Twitch is misleading people into thinking, like, Twitch wants people to think that you can come on Twitch and earn a living, like, super easily. And the top 10,000, like, more than half of the top 10,000 people who earn on Twitch don't make enough money to actually, for it to qualify as, like, even a minimum wage job. That's the thing that I'm wanting to talk about here. Poverty wages, Twitch should do better. The poverty line, wow, the poverty line is around 30K? The poverty line is different in every state, and so it really depends. I know that when I was filing my taxes in Kansas, $15,000 was the poverty line, but Kansas is also a Republican state, so their poverty line is much lower than other places. Yeah. Hang on. I'm watching because I saw a lot of responses to what I was saying, and that's fair. So let me go scroll up and read. They're all white guys. Coop, yes. The top 50 streamers, there is one woman who is Pokemon? I don't actually know how to say her name. I'm sorry. I'm not familiar with top Twitch streamers. There's one lady, and there aren't any black people or people. I think that, and like Pokemon is the first person of color as well to be on the list, I believe, or maybe it was woman of color. But there's like 3, I think, in the top 100. So like, we're getting a sense of Twitch, right? Hang on, let me read. We are a super small stream. We are indeed. It would no. So it was earnings. The money on the list was any earnings that goes directly through Twitch. So that includes subs and bits, any ads, any like Twitch specific, because like Twitch you can get like through like Amazon, like the Amazon blacksmith thing where you can like link things in your bio and people can buy from them. If people buy the game that you're playing, because Twitch has some add-ons that do that. So like all money that runs through Twitch appears. Okay, I'm still reading. Or that you can just grind it out and end up with 100 viewers and enough money to live off of. You called it? Not count. Oh, so he doesn't count himself as a person of color. Interesting. To be fair, I don't even know how to begin talking about that, because our conception of what a person of color is in America and like what race is in the rest of the world is very different. So I like never feel comfortable making judgments about how like people in other countries should interact with like race, because I just don't know. Okay, give me a second. I'm picking up. I'm picking up. Okay. So, how does it feel to be one of the highest grossing POC on Twitch? You know me, I'm rolling in it. But no, like, this is the thing, like, this is the thing. It was news to me too. Like, I found myself on the list and I was like, oh, holy shit. I'm on the list. I did, like, what? So I've known that, like, Twitch is a, like, I mean, I've been very transparent about that with you guys. I have said before that Twitch is a sizable portion of my income, and, like, Twitch, it's only through doing game dev and Twitch combined that I've been able to make like a livable wage for myself where I'm not like, you know, living below the poverty line. So I think that this like can provide that context. You can see how like it's not enough to live off of by itself, but it is enough that it significantly help if you're living in a very expensive city and you don't earn a lot of money, right? But Twitch, Okay, so two very important points that I think that are important to bring up. The first one is that we've talked about the hate raids that are happening on Twitch and how they're happening for people of color and they're happening for people from the LGBT community. And we've talked about why isn't Twitch doing more? Why isn't Twitch doing more to protect its most vulnerable streamers? And I have mentioned before that the reason that they... Oh, the game paused because I have mentioned before that essentially the reason that they're probably not investing any money on that front is because we're not a valuable market to them. And I think that this bears that out, that the top 100 streamers are for the most part just white guys, and groups, but mostly just white guys. I think that bears out why they're not great at protecting women or minorities or people of color from harassment on Twitch. It's just not worth it for them to invest that money when nobody who's making money for Twitch is suffering from those problems. If I and a bunch of other small streamers left Twitch, Twitch isn't going to care because we're not the people bringing in the money keeping Twitch like alive. And that's why they don't invest the money into it. That's why, like, I've kind of said this before and I always feel like it's difficult to talk about because I worry that I'm like sounding like a conspiracy theory, anti-company, anti-capitalist, which, like, to be fair, I like do tend to lean that way, but I wouldn't say that I'm like really extremely that. But like Amazon specifically, and then Twitch through Amazon, they don't get the money to work on any kind of safety features or quality of life features for Twitch if there's no return on investment there. And so I think that it's a very important thing to keep in mind with this company, especially if you're somebody who wants to stream on Twitch or who wants to do anything on Twitch, or like for any big company like this. It's important to keep in mind that these companies see you in terms of dollar value, and you have to hedge your expectations based on that. Like, yes, Twitch should do better. Of course Twitch should do better. Twitch is not going to do better until the amount of money it costs them to deal with the problem is less money than the amount of money the problem is taking away, or like the heat is taking away. That's why like boycotts are a big deal, is because they're trying to get people to feel Twitch to feel the monetary pain of not addressing this problem so that they'll actually address the problem, right? So that's number one, is just like, if you're a minority streamer, like, just please don't trust Twitch because they don't have your best interest at heart. If you're not making them money, they don't care. And until you get big enough that you're making them a lot of money, they won't care. And so I think there's things that we can do to try and get them to care, but I think it's very important to understand the character of this particular company is that they don't want to spend the money on it if they don't have to. So that's the first thing. You can be anti-capitalist and also not a communist. I think so. Also, Krethian, hello. Oh, I'm sorry. Relatable. Thank you. Relatable. So don't feel bad. That was me like last week. But thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. Do boycotts work though? None of the boycotts that we've done for Twitch have worked because not enough people have participated in them and they haven't gotten enough traction. And like now that kind of makes sense because like there's been a lot of discourse on the Twitter about people like doing the boycott and people not participating in the boycott, and maybe it makes sense now why people don't participate in the boycott, because most streamers are not making any money from Twitch. Like most streamers are not making enough money to do anything for Twitch. The amount of money that I've spent on games and like equipment and just other miscellaneous stuff for Twitch means that my like $30,000 looks like a lot of money because it is a lot of money. But then you also have to count that I have to pay fucking taxes on that money. So goodbye, a third of it already. And also I guess it was 15,000 in 1 year, right? So I have to pay taxes on that. And then you're also paying for the people pay for equipment, they pay for the like better internet to stream, they pay for all these things. And so there's been people who are like, I can't do the boycott because I can't afford to do the boycott. I'm kind of reliant on Twitch for some of my income, and like they've been getting flack for that. But like hopefully that makes more sense now. Like I'm just trying to say, like, hopefully this debacle has kind of put that in context, because most streamers don't make money from Twitch. Most streamers just don't. Which brings me to like the second thing. But hang on, let me read. A way to regulate who gets less money. I don't feel like that was their goal. I do feel like increasing discoverability, because here's the other thing about Twitch. I like just ranted about how Twitch is evil, but like Twitch themselves are not evil. Like I've actually known a lot of the employees who work at Twitch specifically, and like, God, they really want the platform to be nice, and they really want it to be safe, and they really want it to be like an enjoyable experience for everybody, and they're really working really hard. It's just that Amazon won't greenlight anything that costs a lot of money and won't generate any money. So it would cost a lot of money to increase enforcement of like safety and things like that. And so they're not going to pay for that because it would cost too much to implement. But like implementing labels for people to find each other, that's pretty easy. They were aware that it would probably lead to harassment. Amazon probably didn't invest any money into a backup plan for what should we do if it leads to a lot of harassment. So here we are. No, I think with companies, it's always good to be skeptical of their intentions. And also, like, you know, in the same way that I distinguish between like soldiers of a country and the country's government during war, I also distinguish between employees of a company and the company itself. Like, probably most of the people who work at Facebook aren't evil, just because Mark Zuckerberg is, which, I mean, I guess you don't have to agree with me there, but like every time I look at Mark Zuckerberg's face, I see a lizard man. Like, Mark Zuckerberg is the only person on the planet who could convince me that lizard men are real. So, I think that it does matter. Sorry. I think that it matters. Or for me, at least, it matters. I think, cause from the way that I'm seeing it, systems can be much more evil than people can be. And there's really only so much people can do when they're functioning in a system that's bad, you know? Like, people do, like, if your circumstances are bad, you're probably going to have to do bad things to get out of those circumstances. Like, you know, if your town is under siege and nobody can escape and there's no food coming in, there's only so much that you can do before, like, your morals are going to have to give way to actually just surviving. And, like, I don't know. I think that for me it matters a lot, because a really important part of my philosophy on life is keeping in mind that, like, I could essentially be any of the people that, like, I think are bad people and make bad decisions and hurt people. I think it's really easy. I think that people really want to look at those people like they're bad and evil and horrible, and there's no way I would ever do anything like that. But I think that, like, a lot of the time, if you were put in the same situation with the same pressures on you, like, a lot of people are trying to pick between, like, the lesser of two evils, and, like, as much as you would want to be able to make a good moral decision, like, I'm thinking about businesses and stuff. If you're, like, the owner of a small business, and let's say, like, you owned a small light bulb business back in the day, and they started creating planned obsolescence, which is when literally just a bunch of people got together and shook hands and were like, let's make light bulbs not last as long so people can buy more of them, which, like, is a historical event that legitimately happened and is documented. If you're one of the, like, small light bulb people who weren't a part of that group, but is now, like, looking at them being like, okay, well, I'm getting run out of business, so I can either join and do this immoral thing and stay in business, or I can not do it and I would not be in business anymore. And as much as that is like an easy decision to make when it's just you, most of these people, it's not just them. Like, they have their families that they're supporting, they have thousands of employees, and they have to consider, like, if I make this shitty decision and tank the business, all of my employees no longer have jobs, and, like, those families no longer have food, and some of them are not going to find good jobs in time, and some of them this will be really bad for, and, like, suddenly it, like, doing this immoral thing kind of looks like the most moral option? Like, you know what I mean? Anyways, we're getting, like, I, like, spun way out of control. Okay, scrolling back up, I'm catching up. Now you will never not see a lizard man when you see him. He really... It's fine, but he just never reads as human to me. It's fine, but it's probably not fine. His smile makes me uncomfortable as well. He's like, it's fine, but it's fine. He just... Mark Zuckerberg's just a little slimy. To me, that's all. Oh, and thank you also for resubscribing, Mendes. Welcome back to the fold. Welcome back. I do wonder if, well, no, never mind. They wanted to monetize the BIPOC and LGBTQIA plus communities and didn't care if we got hurt as long as they made money off us. Yeah, well, yeah. It is really hard to know what actually happens because I do know that there are minorities at Twitch who like wanted to help people find community, but there's only so much you can do when you're owned by Amazon, I think. Okay, so, but that's why it was leading me to the second thing that I wanted to talk about, which is just how Twitch and also, I guess, influencers by proxy mislead people about what like Twitch streaming is actually like. Like, I'm thinking of like kids who are growing up in school and you see them be like, I want to be a YouTuber or I want to be a Twitch streamer on like when they want to grow up, and like, well, the top 10,000 Twitch streamers, like, of the top 10,000, I think it was, like, the top, like, 5 or 4,000 of them, like, don't earn above poverty wage. So that means that out of the, like, 2.9 million people on Twitch who stream every month, first of all, I'm in the 0.001%. Which, again, was news to me. Like, you guys are all like, what? You were on the list? And I'm like, same, I was just as shocked. Like, I didn't expect, and so, like, we're setting, like, I don't know. I feel like we're setting people up for, like, a really bad time here by not talking about this more. Because there's people who genuinely, like, are like, I'm gonna quit my job and I'm gonna buy all this equipment to be a Twitch streamer. And it's like, your odds are really bad that you're ever gonna earn even above, like, poverty wage. Like, it's really bad odds. And it's like, you probably shouldn't do it if you're going into it just, like, to look at it as a job and to make money and, like, and that's your primary reason. You really, like, you should go out and get a job at, like, Starbucks or McDonald's and you'll earn more money and more reliable money, like, legitimately. So that's what I mean when I, like, started this off and I was like, there's this glamorization of Twitch, right? And I think that they're, like, everyone's like, oh, if you get to be a top streamer, you'll make it. And, like, top streamers make millions of dollars. And it's like, yeah, literally them and nobody else. Like, 100 people and nobody else. And obviously Twitch wants that perception to keep existing, because if that perception exists, more people join the platform, more people watch the platform, they have more people playing into their ecosystem, and every person who joins Twitch and, like, hits affiliate, which they made easier to get, is making Twitch extra money too. And also, I'm not sure if you guys know this, but this is, like, an open secret. It's not even a secret, but top streamers on Twitch get, like, $4 of every sub, whereas like everybody else gets $2.50 out of every sub. So like we take half and Twitch gets half. And for top streamers, Twitch gets 20%, and then they get 80%. So that's part of why their income is so high, is because they're getting $4 out of every $5 sub that is coming. And everybody, which is like funny. I don't know. I think it's funny that like the more you earn, the less Twitch takes. And I'm like, Twitch is like struggling to make ends meet, but they're out here. Okay. But that's probably part of why their income is so high. That and it being like 2 years. To be honest with you, I was actually more surprised that the top earning streamer on Twitch, which is Critical Role, I was more surprised that they weren't earning more money in that 2-year period. I'm just saying that, like, we've learned a lot about Twitch today. I can't believe I'm a top earner. I really, like, boy, it's so nice that I finally get to be the 1% of something. I'm going to go sip my wine that I bought, and I'm gonna go live in the house I don't own with my 1% earnings, the top 1% earner. I'm gonna go, like, like, me, I've been, like, stressing over the fact that my apartment raised rent by $200, and they're like, you're a top earner on Twitch, and I'm like, yeah? Oh my god. Mixed with a lot of bad stuff. Interesting. Yeah, I want to be a movie star, or I want to be a musician, yeah. But I think people feel like it's more achievable because it's accessible to them in their house, whereas, like, being a movie star is not nearly as accessible in that way. You are way better off doing it as a hobby. Does the top earner thing include sponsorships, donations, affiliate links? I think, okay, so the top earner spot, I'm pretty sure that the only thing that it includes is what is in Twitch's revenue, which I wonder, because like I don't even have access to all of the ways that people can make money because I'm an affiliate still, and I'm like not a real hashtag. Look at me out here in like Twitch's top 10,000 earners, and they don't want to make me a partner. I'm like not bitter. I'm like, damn, I'm out here like in your top 10,000 earners, and you don't even want to give me like 1080p streams on average. Here, so let me try to see. So what that would include is, what would be included in the top earner is subs and gift subs, ads, bits, game sales, anything from extensions, and like bounties. So direct donations are not counted. Sponsorships are not counted. So there, and honestly, like, if I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, sponsorships is where the money is at. That's where the actual real money is at, is like selling your audience's attention. So the bigger audience you have and the more engaged they are, the more money you can get for sponsorships. That's why I stopped doing them, because I couldn't handle it. They felt really gross to me. I thought I could handle it because I was going to be like, yeah, look at me making money from, companies instead of taking it from like my audience, which like also makes me feel uncomfortable. But then like, it just made me feel bad about myself as a person, which is not to say that like, if you're like, I'm not trying to pass moral judgment on anybody else who does it, because I totally get it. But I just found it was something that like I couldn't handle personally, because it made me feel bad about myself. Because it felt like I was lying. I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Ever since you began to look at streaming more as a hobby and a nice way to supplement and advertise the main thing you want. Yeah. Well, that's how I started into Twitch myself. I started Twitch because at the time I was like, I want a way to keep in contact with the people who've played my games so that they know when more games come out in the future. And like, that's what I wanted from Twitch. And so it did end up being a very like and I've talked about this before, and obviously it makes sense now, but like Twitch has like literally carried me through like months where I don't have employment, just because like as a game dev, your contract ends, you got to find a new job, and like sometimes there's just months where I don't make any money from game dev. Sometimes I've just had to take contracts that don't make all of the ends meet, and sometimes I have really expensive medical bills that I just have been having to pay, and it's expensive. So like, so Twitch has become an important and meaningful part of like how I make ends meet every month, and I wouldn't have been able to do it without Twitch. But especially last year, was it last year? Oh my God, that was a year ago. Especially last year when I was like, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna try to like be a full-time streamer. I'm gonna like see where this takes me. Which was partially because I was in between jobs, so I was like, I have nothing to lose. I'm in between jobs. I might as well try to make this work and see what I can do with it. And then I found out I couldn't do it. Both like physically speaking, like I wasn't physically well enough to be able to stream for that long. And then also just like mentally speaking, I think that the demands that are placed upon influencers, I just couldn't like healthfully keep up with my mental health. It just wasn't good for me with my mental health, right? So that's why I'm like, and so admittedly, the time period that they're talking about, I think covers the time when I was really trying hard to make it as a real-time streamer on Twitch. And I'm also for added context, in 2020, because the COVID pandemic hit and everybody was like locked up inside and like had nothing to do and nowhere to spend their money, people spent a lot more money on Twitch. They spent like a lot more money on Twitch. It was like a thing. There were more viewers and more people spending money on Twitch. And that's gone now. So the financial information that has been given is from essentially the most profitable time period that has ever existed on Twitch. And that's why I'm kind of freaked out that like the top highest paid streamers on Twitch only make $4.5 million a year. That's not a lot of money for the very best that your platform has to offer. So we understand why Twitch is in the red now, right? Especially, man. Anyways, I've just been like talking. I'm gonna read the chat for a second. I bought my 13th Ferrari. You know me. It's gonna be a Tesla. Truly nobility. Thank you. 10K per sponsorship they read out? Damn. Yeah. I mean, people at the top of Twitch are gonna be making more money. So, like, what the Twitch revenue reveals is more of, like, you can calculate directly how much money Twitch pulls in from these sources. And it's not a lot of money. That's, like, why I'm kind of freaked out by it. But also, we're, like, lying to everybody about how rich you can get off of Twitch. And I think that's also very bad. Schnozberry schnapps. Well, don't worry, Coop. Let me tell you, there are ways around this economic system. They just make it really hard for you to, like, you have to play the game if you want your way around the economic system is the thing. That's kind of like what I would say is my takeaway from this situation, is that, like, if you want that, then you have to play the game the way that you're meant to be playing it, I guess. I don't know if that made sense. It could be you, Illusion. Yeah, that's true. Would I still do it if it's something you want to support personally? What do you mean, like streaming or which thing? It's not your cookie client open. I was doing that. I like have OBS open and I started trying to click the golden cookie on my OBS screen. That's very funny. And I made a game last year, that's true. Compared to YouTube, that actually puts it in perspective. It does, it does. A crown. Yeah. Oh, sponsorships. Okay, hang on. What was your question to me about sponsorships? Scrolling up. Where is it? There it is. Would I still do it if it's something I want to support personally? Yes. That's what happened with the Garden Story stream recently. I said that, I thought I said that in Discord. I said it on the Patreon. I thought I said it in Discord too. That I will still take sponsorships if it is something that like I believe in and it like checks out and they don't require me to say, you know, like if it's something that I feel like I can authentically support, then I'll still take it, sure. But me like thinking about how many of those there are going to be. It's probably not going to be that many of them. And like probably most of the sponsorships I take are going to be from like small indie game teams where like, you know, I think the game that they're playing is really cool and I just generally want indie games to do better. And like, you know, like I support indie games generally speaking, and I support game devs generally speaking, and I support people doing cool things. So I'll definitely still take sponsorships for those reasons, but if it's not something where I feel like I can take the sponsorship without hating myself, then I'm not going to take the sponsorship anymore, because I gave up on the dream of the stream being, I realized I don't want to be an influencer. I don't like living the lifestyle of an influencer. I don't like having to think about how to monopolize people's attention. I don't like having to think about like how to keep people engaged and like, how do I get them to like, what's the word? How do I get them to like buy into like me more and like my community and like, I don't know. It just, I get really sensitive to that kind of thing because I'm just really sensitive to like marketing in general. Like I am not a fan of marketing. And so when I saw like what it actually took in order to grow on Twitch and kind of how you have to operate in order to grow on Twitch, I was like, yeah, I just don't think that there is a way that like me personally being who I am, I don't think there's a way that I would be able to do that and not like lose touch with some important part of myself that I personally care about. Hey! Well, thank you, Elemental Knight. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. To big-time smartphone tech YouTubers and cons of sponsorship deals, it illuminated a lot. Yeah. I mean, anytime you guys want to know about that kind of thing, please feel free to ask. Like, I don't know. Hopefully this conversation illustrates, like, I think transparency can help a lot. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna act like I'm not, like, a little bit nervous and sweating over here, because this is, like, I don't know, it's a strange thing to talk about this, but, like, I also think that there's more to gain from being open and transparent about this kind of thing. Oh, hang on. 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 We got the clicker. We got the clicking. We got the clicking. Yeah, it took too long to click on the golden cookie. Okay. Golden cookie. Oh! Crushed it. 2 for 1. Hi, Dawn. Right? I mean, on one side of things, it surprises me that I'm on the list. On the other side of things, it doesn't surprise me that I'm on the list because, just like talking to other streamers and like talking about like how our communities are and like hearing comments from other people, I'm aware that this is a more supportive community than on average, right? So like I've always understood that, but I didn't realize how that translated as far as the whole, like, I mean, like everybody else here, I would have assumed that, like, not making enough money to live off of every year wouldn't make me a high earning streamer on Twitch, right? Yeah. But sponsorships aren't included. If they included sponsorships, I'm no longer the top earning. I'm no longer in the top 10%. I believe that. I absolutely believe that if they included the other ways, like merch and what are the other ways? Merch, sponsorship. I guess like speaking opportunities. I'm like, what are the other ways people make money? I guess those three are really the ways, huh? I guess so. Yeah, merch, sponsorship, and like I guess like affiliate links and like that kind of thing. If you include those on the list, I no longer make a lot of money. I'm no longer in the top 10,000 at all. I don't think. Oh, direct donations. Well, do you want to know what's happening in this game? Well, ultimately, the Wrinklers are. Grandma became an eldritch abomination. That's all you need to know. And get money on YouTube as well. That's true. Although, I think that that's not that well, maybe I'm wrong. To be honest, I don't pay attention to this ecosystem. So maybe there's like, are there Twitch channels on YouTube who are like, in my experience, but that's probably because, sorry, I'm responding to my thoughts before I even fully get them out there. And so you're not understanding what I'm saying. In my experience, you don't really make a lot of money putting VODs on Twitch, but I also don't edit my videos and don't try to be a YouTuber at all. So I know for a fact that there's like Twitch streamers who earn enough money that they can pay an editor to edit down their VODs and like put those videos out on YouTube. So I would imagine that that would have to be profitable enough to put them out on YouTube that it's like justifies hiring an editor to go through several hours worth of VODs and like to pay for that. So probably for the higher tier streamers, that does matter. That's true. My community trend's a bit older than most. I think that that's very fair. I also think that, like, I mean, you guys are very supportive and kind. And, like, I think that, like, I don't know. I've always been transparent with you guys about where I'm at, and I've been transparent about the fact in the past and now that, like, I've had financial difficulties, and a lot of the time the stream is what sees me through that. Because it's like, I don't know. So I feel like, I don't know. I really think that it's like, cause I don't know. Yeah, it's a lot. Yeah. But like that, I guess that's why I wanted to bring it up, is because it's both like, when I saw it, I was like, well, this changes my entire perspective on like what Twitch even is and how it works. And like, I'm understanding that I am a much more privileged streamer than I thought I was. That's definitely true. But also, I'm also understanding that what a privileged streamer is like not necessarily, because I'm gonna be real here. When we're talking about sponsorships on Twitch, for somebody of my channel size, when we're talking about like how much you get paid for sponsorships, it's like $100 per sponsorship, generally. Like, that's about how much money I made from sponsorships. Now, when you get really big Twitch sponsorships, that's when you get like $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000, right? You get like huge sponsorships. But for smaller streamers like me, the sponsorships are going to be probably around $100, maybe $200 if you're lucky. Like, right? That's how that's like our sponsorship range, because we are like small babies and small people in the small pond. So basically what I'm trying to say here is that I'm I feel like they obfuscate these things on purpose in order to make people feel like it's all more achievable than it actually is what I'm trying to say. What is Nightbot doing?
I'll support you.
You're not authorized, Connor. Well, for some sponsorships, like with the Raid Shadow Legends sponsorship, I didn't sign in. I think I'm allowed to say this. For some sponsorships, you get paid per the number of people who like sign up or whatever. So for sponsorships like Raid Shadow, where they're like, ooh, sign up and you'll join my guild and all that, like for games where you're doing that, that's absolutely they're pushing it really hard because the more people sign up, the more they get paid. Which again, I'm like, I don't think that's like an evil thing. Everybody has different perspectives on like the morality of this. And obviously I personally don't like marketing, but there's a lot of people who look at marketing and they like genuinely look at it as I'm just pitching something to someone to see if they want it. And like, I'm like curating interesting, cool products that can help my audience's lives be better. Like, I think this is cool. Maybe they'll think this is cool. And like, they think of it as like a beneficial thing that they're sharing ads with their audience and not as a negative thing. And like, I'm obviously on the opposite end of the spectrum where I'm just like, I don't like that marketing plants a desire for new stuff that people might not need and like money that they would otherwise maybe like put into savings gets spent on something that they don't really need and maybe don't even really want because the marketing is really cool and makes it like, I've made so many purchases where I'm like, oops, the marketing got me on that one. Happle. Hi, Melia. DFTBA. Thank you for resubscribing. Welcome back to the fold. An ad tweet, or is that playing a game? Sponsorships can be a lot of different things. So the most basic sponsorship on Twitch is like play a game for a specified period of time. Then as part of sponsorship deals, and this is for on Twitch, right? So sponsorship deals cross brands. So like, let's say I had like a sizable, actually like, I don't know, meaningful Twitch following, which I don't. I have a sizable Twitter following. I have a sizable Twitter following, but I don't use Twitter and I don't like track engagement metrics and I don't like try to get you guys to like comment on my posts or whatever. So like I'm not an enticing person to post things on Twitter because there's no guarantee that people will see and interact with my post. So I don't get Twitter sponsorships, but Twitter sponsorships tend to be separate and you can pay somebody for like a tweet or a series of tweets, or you can pay them to like have a giveaway, or you can pay them for a picture of themselves. That's really popular on Instagram for like, put this in your story, or I want 5 pictures of this over the next 5 months. That's really popular on Instagram. For Twitch, it tends to be play this game for an hour, and then you do tend to have tie-ins like play this game for an hour, tweet about you playing this game on Twitter, and then when you're done, post a clip from the game. And like, that's all part of the sponsorship deal. Obviously, the more stuff that you have like that, like, you charge more for. So like, generally you can charge a certain amount per hour of the game that you stream, and then if they want to throw an ad on your Instagram too or something, then you have the option to ask to charge more. But here's one of the problems with sponsorships is that because nobody talks about how much their sponsorships are worth, because like at the top, nobody wants to feel like they're cacklingly rich, like capitalists being like, mwahaha, I just had a $40,000 sponsorship, which like, those are real. I've known people who've had $200,000 sponsorships for one day's worth of work, is all I'm saying. And I'm not going to name names, but I'm saying like, I've seen a lot in this space. So like, sponsorships can range from anywhere from somebody being paid like $5 for an hour of streaming to like thousands of dollars for like one YouTube video or 1 hour on a stream or 10 tweets or whatever. It just really depends. And because they don't like talk about it, people tend to get really screwed over. So LGBT people, black people, and women, they've done some studies on it now where like people have gathered together and started sharing how much they're getting charged for sponsorships based off of how big their audience is and, you know, the metrics that actually matter, and then just like their status. And like companies will absolutely like try to gut. If they think that you're a person where you're not used to making a lot of money, then they'll try to lowball you. And so in America, that tends to mean minorities and women. They'll lowball you because they don't expect you to be getting a lot of high-end offers. So they assume that if they lowball you, you'll just be like grateful to even have a sponsorship. And so you'll just do it even if realistically they should be paying you $3,000 more or whatever. Huh. Okay, let me keep reading. Apple is good at getting me, I know. I do have a Twitter, and I rarely post on there, but I post like going live tweets, and I'm also going to be posting stuff about the games that I release. So if you follow Twitter, I'm a pretty safe follow at this point because I just like, I can't be on Twitter right now. Oh yeah, that's another thing. You can get free stuff for Instagram shoutouts. A lot of times companies will send you free things, and then like what you can do is you can tweet about the free thing, and then like depending on how many engagements that post gets, you can get like a sponsorship deal with them. I'm not allowed to talk about like actual sponsorship deals I've really had, so I can't provide specifics, but trust that I'm like giving you basically most of the information. Open value for value. A sponsorship once, all the company gave you was a backup kick pedal, and that was it. But like I've had, I've had done, let me see where it is because I have it. This, my Oodie. My Oodie. You guys remember when I did my like Oodie sponsorship? First of all, I actually really like this Oodie, but like Oodies are very expensive. Would I recommend that you actually buy an Oodie? I mean, if you have the money to spend and you can get a discount code, use Anna's. If you can get a discount code, then sure, I would recommend it because I like my Oodie a lot, but like I can recommend the product in theory, but like, am I going to recommend that you spend $120 on this? I don't know. I love it, but like, would I have paid that much money for it? No, I wouldn't have. So, but like, I did the Oodie sponsorship because I wanted this, and I got this for free as like part of doing it. And that was good enough for me at the time. Hell yeah, Dawn. Well, I'm glad. Hell yeah to the 2-week staycation, not that it ends tomorrow. So yeah. That is my... There we go. That is my everything. At this point, also, actually, let me like calculate this out real quick. Because at this point, I'm not earning that amount of money from Twitch anymore. Yeah, that's what I thought. At this point, because, you know, I'm not streaming as much, we're not going as hard. So like I said, the sample size that financial information was taken from was A, probably taken from one of Twitch's best years ever, just because everybody was trapped at home and people like had extra money to spend. A. And then B was also taken from the time that I was like trying really hard to be like a real actual legit streamer, and I was like really actually trying to make it work as like a main source of income, which, spoiler alert, at that amount of money it clearly didn't. But like at this point, nobody is making as much money as they made then. Like conclusively. Conclusively, I can tell you that. Conclusively, I can say that like most people's Twitch earnings have dropped by at least half, if not more. So again, this is why I'm like, oh, that concerns me. Like, uh-oh, oh dear. Moral of the story, if you have anybody that you know who wants to be a Twitch streamer for their job, dissuade them. Please just tell them not to. It's not worth it. Being an influencer is a job that requires you to like sacrifice your sense of self and your like sense of personal privacy and to like market who you are in exchange for like the chance to maybe win the lottery. So I wouldn't like I guess I wouldn't like discourage people from going into it as a hobby, but I would like, you know, when you see friends being like, I'm gonna spend a lot of money on all this technical equipment so I can be a Twitch streamer, like maybe be like, no, don't. That's always been my advice just to like new streamers is like, don't spend the money on the equipment until you're sure you want to. My rule was always to like only spend money on equipment that I had actually earned from the stream. And so it took me a really long time to like get better quality equipment, but that meant that I stayed in the black, in the green, whatever. I stayed fine, and I didn't end up like, you know, spending like thousands of dollars on a fancy computer and then only ever earning $20 from Twitch, you know, which like if people are spending their savings on that, then like that's hard to bounce back from. So yeah, end of story. Oh, Minecraft videos do very well. Focus on having fun, yeah. Yeah, I actually talked with Gerard not too long ago, like a couple of weeks ago, I think. I actually spoke with Gerard. I would say that, like, yeah. From my experience with, like, all of the, social media influencers, I guess, that I've met over my years, which is a large number at this point. Most of them have paid for their success in a way that I don't think audiences will ever see or understand. Because, like, you don't get to know the people in that way, so, like, why would you see it? But, like, I'll say that, like, there's a reason that anxiety and depression is endemic to, like, top influencers. And I think it's the job. Like, I think it's the job. So, there's my 2 cents. In the Chronic Hell Squad too. Yeah, in the Chronic Hell Squad and in the Chronic Hell Squad of, like, we made it worse for ourselves by, like, choosing professions where it is very difficult for the average person to end up making a livable wage. And therefore, if you want to do that, you have to take on way more jobs than a normal person should. So I made myself sicker. Put a period on that sentence. Zung. I know you guys would have never seen that coming. You would have never seen it coming. Yeah, yeah. Oh, it was? Oh, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, but anyways, I don't know. I hope this conversation was helpful. I hope the transparency was helpful. I'm not gonna lie. I feel very vulnerable in the moment. But, like, I do think that there's a lot of benefit that comes from, like, actually understanding the systems that we're working with that are, like, functioning behind the screen for entertainment. Because you don't, like, get a peek behind that veil unless you want to go down the influencer route. And even then it can be, like, really hard to actually get enough information about what's happening to actually, like, meaningfully understand and interact with it in any way. Just because, you know, so many of them are, like, you know, unless you get into large groups of influencers and stuff, you don't find out the stuff about, like, sponsorship discrepancies and all that, so. Yeah. Yeah! Thank you. Thank you for the congrats for the 1%. I'm gonna order myself some caviar, you know. Oh, how do you feel about it, Dawn? Irony is streaming helps you with your anxiety. It's more your actual jobs that, yeah. As a hobby and community, it's great. Well, yeah, that's that's legitimately why, like, that's legitimately the reason, Crethian, that I stopped trying to be an influencer. It felt icky, but also, like, it's really hard to enjoy streaming when you feel like you need to be... It just quickly became unfun, I guess is the best way to put it. It just stopped being fun. And I've said a billion zillion times how much this community has meant to me personally, as a person. Like, yes, also it has helped me survive a bunch of financial hurdles that I have been facing. And I also really appreciate that, don't get me wrong. But, like, this community has always been one of the things I'm the most proud that I've ever created. Just because it's like a space on the internet where we can be, like, kind to each other and we can have difficult conversations and we can talk about tough things like this. And we can still, like, be nice to each other and treat each other as humans. And I don't know, that is the more meaningful thing to me. And that's why I've always said, like, you know, I was like, oh, I'm only gonna be streaming 2 times a week now, and I'm not gonna be going to be a real streamer, but, like, don't worry, I'm not gonna quit streaming because I actually enjoy it. Admittedly, I think that, like, I'm like due for probably some, like, either some, like, break time away from the stream just to deal with my mental health stuff, or I'm into, like, probably eventually going to scrap the scheduled stream times and just change it to I stream when I feel up to it because that's better for my, like, physical and mental health. But, like, I don't see a future where I'm gonna stop. Like, maybe I'll stop streaming on Twitch. If anything, that's potentially what could happen, is that I'll stop streaming on Twitch and I'll stream in the Discord only or something like that. But yeah. Caviar is nice but overhyped. I feel like I've had caviar once, and I know that it was like, it probably wasn't good caviar because I'm pretty sure that I got it as a result of, like, I was in, like I was going to some kind of event that was really fancy and there was caviar at the event, and, like, I didn't even know how to eat it at the time. So, like, like, me out here at this, like, clearly very fancy event, and I'm like, you know when you're like, you know when you're the person who is just like, I don't know how to behave at, like, this like, fancy people thing is happening, and, like, I feel that way when I have to, like, walk in certain kinds of dresses while wearing heels, and I'm like, I haven't spent enough time doing this to know how to sit elegantly in this piece of cloth. And like, I am worried about, like, flashing a bunch of people and stuff like that. It was like that, where I'm like, well, everybody's gonna know that I don't belong here. That's fine. I don't know how to eat this. What I remember about it was that it was salty. I don't think it was good real caviar. I don't even know what real... Is there... I think there's real caviar and there's, like, I don't know, bargain bin caviar? Girl. I don't know. Fish eggs probably aren't for me. But so far, it's not bad. I really liked the characterization in Skyward Sword, although I never beat the game because I didn't like the motion controls. What a way to crush your love for something. Yeah. Dawn, no! You had it at your aunt's multi-million-dollar wedding? Damn! Damn. I want to try good caviar. Like, but, like, I want to try it in a, like, where I don't pay for it. Would somebody like to... Oh, man. The fewer people supporting Amazon, the better. Yeah. Yeah. Watch some more TV. I put on a cracker. Oh, you put a little caviar on a cracker. You don't put them on bread? Okay. I might have, I may or may not have taken, like, with my spoon and, like, the caviar. So, egg on my face. I was like, I have a friend who, like, so you guys know when you, like, okay, does anybody else do this? Please let me know if you do this, because, like, when I was a college student, I've already talked about how, like, as a college student, I was lucky enough to have a full ride scholarship, but that being said, I still had to pay for my living expenses myself, so I had 3 jobs in college. And, like, one of the things that I would do in college is I would, like, go to events where they had free food, and then I would, like, take a napkin and I would store the free food and I would put it in my bag and take it with me so I could take it home and eat it. So I would do that. And I was talking with a friend who also used to do that, who is also from Kansas, but he was a professional piano player. And so, like, he obviously clearly had, like, a little bit more of a high-class clientele. And he was talking about how he was, like, standing around the food table doing that. And, like, the people around him started whispering, being like, is he on drugs? Why is he doing that? And, like, that's, like, me feeling out of place at any, like, at any of the things. Oh my god. You stayed at your sister's during staycation instead of staying home? That's really sweet. Yeah, that sounds like that's much better for your mental health. It's just salty. Caviar is not for me then. I don't like salty flavors. I'm not a salt person. I do not yellow ring. These tiny pitas with a bit of ooh, that sounds tasty. A Vegemite thing? I have tried Vegemite and that shit's gross. No offense, but it's gross. Goose liver and fish eggs. The garbage parts of food. I don't know, as my entire familiarity with rich people, to be fair, I guess I don't know, like, anybody who's mega rich. Does anybody know somebody who's mega rich? My entire experience with rich people is that they just eat takeout all the time. That's, like, I don't know anybody who eats caviar, but I know a lot of people who order food a lot. Like, you know a mega rich guy? What does he eat? Good alcohol, probably. The last time you helped cater. Oh, I'm not ashamed of taking food like that, right? Because I only took it at the end of the event when there was a lot of food waste that was just left, and people were gonna leave it. They were gonna go home and they were just gonna throw out the food. So I'll take the food and I'll take it. I have no shame. I don't think that's a thing to be ashamed about. I don't know. Part of it is that, like, in my, like, primary elementary schools, like, where I grew up, I usually, like, we had a wide range of, like, so we had, like, really poor kids and we had really rich kids, right? So I'm, like, used to having rich people tell me that I'm doing things wrong, I guess, is the way. One time I dated a guy who was pretty well off, and he told me, he was like, Cara, I'm really worried about how much you stick to your morals, because I think that you're not going to be able to make a lot of money if you keep doing that. Anyways, I broke up with him like a month later, for related reasons, but oh damn, grandmas. I don't know if an elevator in a house counts, because as much as that seems like something that's super luxury, sometimes people need elevators in their houses because they're disabled. So, like, a lot of times I see people, like, make fun of that as, like, oh, a rich person, and, like, I'm always like, but disabled people. So I'm not willing to put elevators as a rich people thing. Oh yeah. I used to be like that, Dawn, at my parents' old house, because, like, girl, it was haunted. It was straight up haunted. So, like, I really, really didn't like being in that house alone. He couldn't understand that you couldn't just drop everything and go horseback riding in Spain with him for 3 weeks? Oh, that sounds about right. A combo of McDonald's and hoity-toity food. Gold leaf is cool as a money statement, but it has literally no flavor and it's ultimately not worth it. He said the silent part out loud. He did. He did. It's fine. It's fine. That was a whole, yeah, that's fine. Us having like moral arguments was a whole aspect to our relationship that happened. I have the best worst boyfriend stories. Thanks. I mean, you're not wrong. I do have a lot of really good, interesting ones, but also like, I wish I had great boyfriend stories. I'm like, one time my boyfriend did the most meaningful thing for me. Their McMansion's kitchen. Oh yeah, it was more for show than anything. Yeah. Yeah. That's fair. But he did eat out every night. I wouldn't say that $150 a week is rich. I mean, for one person's food, that's a lot. But also, I guess if you're trying to eat healthy, then quickly that money runs out. I don't know. There was no one disabled in their house. Well, that guy. Yeah. Rom, I can tell you more stories. Wink. Yeah. If I lost my morals, I'm sure I would be very scary. I do have a lot of like, yeah, I do. I ended up in a terrible relationship for a reason, and it's because my judgment was not great. Like, it was not great. Sometimes seeing the best in everyone is the wrong thing. So keep that in mind when you're dating. Just putting that out there. Like, I don't think it helps as much there. My drink oh, I didn't, but I will. Cheers. The Carapitalist. I feel like if I was gonna go full evil, I would just like, I don't know, I'd probably go for like, I don't know. The thing is, I wouldn't have to like, if I was just gonna give up on like being a writer, because that's what it actually is. It's like, I just want to be a writer. If I was going to give up on being a writer and like keep my morality intact and just go do the capitalist thing, I'd probably go do what Zek is doing, is I'd go be a network engineer, because guess what? All you have to do is study and take tests, and then they have to pay you more because you get certifications. What is that? Nobody told me that that was an option when I was in college. That I could just have a career where you can take tests to earn more money? What the hell? So, like, if I was ever gonna be like, forget it, I'm just going for full cash, I'd probably go that route, to be honest. They had their own stables. Wow. That's pretty cool. I don't know if they're family members or family friends, but I do know people who own their own horses. I'd probably take over the world. I think I would be capable of it, is what I think. Swap bad relationship stories. Yes, victim of my own empathy. Well, it's, I mean, like, I don't think that it's bad or to say that, like, a huge part of my growing process throughout my 20s has been, like, learning to realize when people deserve the benefit of the doubt and like deserve my empathy, and when people are exploiting my empathy or I'm having really lax boundaries, and because of that they're able to get me to do things that I like, or get me to go along with things that I wouldn't have otherwise gone along with. And that has been my most learningest thing of my 20s, is like learning how to have those boundaries, and also learning to like maybe not empathize as much or rather to be like, you know, if you do something wrong more than once, then probably that's gonna keep happening, you know? So Yeah. Hello, Nathan. Certs are real expensive. Am I calling Zek evil? As I said if I was gonna be moral but still go for the money. Game dev's not where it's at. No offense. Whoa, that's so cool. Wait. Lolitati, hopefully I'm saying your username correctly. Were you the person who, after NaNoWriMo one year, messaged me on Twitter and let me know that you got a book deal from it? Was that you? Because it sounds like this is you. I remember like reading that and just like, text anxiety. Test anxiety, yeah. They bred and raised some horses that raced and placed in the Derby. Yeah! Whoa. Congratulations! Happy anniversary! Whoa! That's awesome! I've kind of like, since then I've kind of like low-key been like, oh, I wonder how that's going for them. I wonder if it's great to know that it's still going really well. Oh, hell yeah! Good job putting yourself out there. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I'm so glad that you tried it. NaNoWriMo's awesome. It's rough though. Yeah. For me, Crethian, one of the things that I had to learn, that I'm still learning if I'm being honest, is just like, there's like, how do I say, when I was a child, for reasons, boundaries weren't a thing that was highlighted in like growing up, right? So like, you know, I don't think anybody's parents really did like sat them down and was like, hey, let's talk about boundaries, you know? So I didn't like have that explained to me. So you just absorb boundaries based off of like how people around you model them, right? For me, a large part of my 20s has been like trying to even identify where boundaries should be, because like I literally don't conceive that boundaries can exist in certain places. For example, it took me a really long time to figure out that like when I was sharing an apartment with someone, like as roommates, that I had the ability to like put boundaries over like who comes in my room and when, and like how they like, do they have to knock on the door? Can they just come right in? It took me a really long time to realize that like I'm allowed to put my foot down there and like, you know, and that's like a really little thing. But like, it just never occurred to me. You know, I was like, oh, this is both of our, you know, we're both paying for this place. We both own the whole, you know, blah, blah. So like part of my journey has literally just been figuring it out. Aw. Thank you. But I do feel like you deserve most of the credit. That is, yeah, that's really cool. I hope to follow in your footsteps, because someday I want to finish the book that I started writing. But I want to finish the book that I started writing and get it actually published in book form instead of just writing books for games. So someday, probably someday soon, I'm gonna do that. Because as you guys know, I've been transitioning everything over to start working on my own stuff now. Shout out to the Pride vs. Prejudice alpha. We're having like some people test a build of the game right now, so that's really fun. Stranger Danger was the best that we got. Yeah, that's true. As a writer's support group, yeah. Ooh, oh, thank you. That would actually be probably really helpful. Because as much of anything is happening, I am way more familiar with like, you know, everything about how to get games good. And even like, you know, I'm not familiar with the book side of things, so I will definitely need to take some time to look into that. Or by not familiar with it, I mean I've never done it. I've never done it the whole way because I don't have a published book. So I'm sure I will want a lot of tips when I get there. Let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's see if it happens here. Oh, well. This is not what I wanted, but it's also not the worst thing because I get to try to get cookies from the Easter stuff. I don't like the cookie storm because it's actually really easy to accidentally close your game during the cookie storm. All right, we're gonna switch to Halloween now. PvP indeed. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I saw Lindsay Ellis's book. The thing is that I did a lot of research into it, but I did a lot of research into it literally like exactly 10 years ago. That's funny. So basically like 10 years ago is when I did my research, and I'm pretty sure it's all out of date because the internet has changed a lot about the landscape for sure. For sure. Egg. Okay, let me try to get some haunted cookies by bursting these wrinklers. 3 haunted cookies. 4 haunted cookies. That's all. 4 out of 7's pretty good. Hup. 1 second. Putting more eggs in fewer baskets? What do you mean by that? You mean like... Is that like... How do I say this? Is that like a reference to how publishers are like, Oh man. It's fine. It's fine. Never mind. I'm like thinking about it and I'm like, it's making me sad. It's fine. Yeah. It's true. They do many a thing. They do many a things. Speaking of Pride versus Prejudice, I do want to say I made a page on illuseed.com for it. So now Illuseed has a little page for Pride versus Prejudice because we're developing it now. But he had the idea too late. His book was already published. Advertising more for bigger wins, taking less risks. Ooh. That makes sense. That does make sense to me. That does make sense to me. Yeah. Yeah, so I'll have to familiarize myself with that landscape again. And I am not... I would prefer to go through a publishing route, but I am not opposed to self-publishing. Clearly. My in-game sprite. Are you talking about like Lizzie's? I guess you don't know who the characters are, but it's true. Lizzie's sprite looks like me. You love the art and you want to play this game right now? Well, I think. Hang on, 1 second. Gotta pop the cookies. There is. Okay. Okay, cool. I found literally 1 egg. That's fine. Okay. How was it? How was it, Dawn? The art is really great. John is so good, honestly. Like John, I don't even think John realizes how good he is. I don't think he realizes how good he is at art. I will put this out there. I will put this out there for those who are interested. And I mean it for those who are interested, because I know that there's people here who are excited about Pride versus Prejudice. And I've talked about having news about Pride versus Prejudice before. We're not and I've hinted at this, so it's probably obvious what is going to happen, but essentially we're making Pride versus Prejudice. You guys know, I'm attempting to like kind of go solo as a dev. Not solo, we have a team. But I'm trying to go to be a dev without having to work with the publishing industry for a whole bunch of reasons that have to do with like how marketing and publishers tend to interact with small indie businesses and like what that could do to the game and what that would do to like the schedule for trying to make the game and how much control we would have over it and all that kind of stuff. So for all these reasons, we're just trying to like get this game made and to push it out ourselves and to like share the profits on the game ourselves and not really have to worry about going through a publisher for funding and all that kind of thing. So, crunch, microtransactions, also like changing the core concept of the game because a lot of people don't think that it's necessarily super marketable. Changing when, like a lot of times with publishers, you have a deadline for when you can release, and publishers will they will own the IP, they'll own a percentage of your studio, they'll have the ability to tell you when you have to move on from the game you're working on to something else. So sometimes a game can release, and if it doesn't sell well, then before you've even finished like patching all of the bugs, they force you to move on to another game because, you know, you've already lost the money on that game. No point in trying to make it better. So yeah, for all of those kinds of reasons, and also like because I'm chronically ill, that's one of the biggest reasons for me is that I need to have a lot of control over like crunch, over whether I crunch, when I crunch, because I can't do it. It makes me really sick to do it, to crunch. It just makes me really sick. So I wanted to have control over that so that I wouldn't have to run the risk of like having to exchange my health for trying to get a game out on time. You know what I mean? It's like printing money. That's how I feel. However, some would be different, but that's why we all have our own opinions. That's very fair. Yeah, I'm curious about which ones would be different because I know, like, trust me, especially with ranking videos like that, my opinion is just my opinion and that's all it is. But anyways, to get to the point, the way that we've decided to try to fund Pride versus Prejudice, aside from the fact that we're going to be working on it no matter what, and this is just to kind of help support us, is through a Patreon. Oh my god, there's another one. It's another Patreon. So there's a Pride vs. Prejudice Patreon, which if you guys want to be like alpha or beta testers, that's going to be how you're going to do it. If you want like updates about the game, if you want to be in the credits, if you want behind the scenes interviews, news, whatever, that kind of thing, that's where you're going to get it all from. And hang on. Important. Not Kickstarter. I have successfully kickstarted a game before and I don't want to do it again. We have said that like if we needed to, if there was like something real, essentially there's a lot of considerations and I can talk to you about all of them. It's not that Kickstarter is too much work. So well, it kind of is. Kickstarter is... okay. First of all, a lot of the money that goes into Kickstarter doesn't tend to go back into the game. So when we did the Asagao Kickstarter, we made a lot of money, but like almost a third of all of that money had to go to just like fees. Kickstarter fees, paying the taxes on that amount of money earned, because I found out after the fact that Kickstarter classifies that as like personalized income. So it went on to my like income tax and I had to pay tax. I had to pay tax on it. And then on top of that, like if you do physical rewards, those are a huge amount of work and they're really expensive and they really eat up a lot of your budget. And then there's like the hullabaloo of having like one big marketing push that you have to make and then it's all or nothing. So if you don't meet your, like, yeah, having done Kickstarter once, a lot of devs who do Kickstarter just generally don't want to do it again because it can be really like stressful and rough, and there's a lot of just like hidden things, and like pushing that hard for that long to get the Kickstarter done is a lot. That being said, we're not necessarily opposed to it if we like come across something that costs a lot of money that we want to put into the game. Say like if we wanted voice acting, which like we're probably not going to do that. I'm just saying something that's expensive. Voice acting is very expensive. If we wanted something like that, then that's something that like maybe we would have to consider kickstarting in order to get funding to like put everything that we wanted to put in the game. But really what we're trying to do here is, or what my goal is from the Patreon anyways, is just to like, because we want to make the game, we want to put it out, and then once the game is out, we get to share the profits, but it's hard to ask a bunch of game devs to work for free on something that might not ever make any money for them. And on top of that, we have like fees that are coming up for just like the tools that we're using in order to make the things. So we figured if anybody was excited about Pride versus Prejudice and wanted to help fund it, you can. You definitely don't have to. It's super optional. And all of the money that comes from the Patreon will first like go into paying for those development costs, and then will be split 4 ways among the team. So me, Rom, John Bond, Kaimatin, and Ashlyn Sparrow, who is our programmer, we'd be splitting the profits 4 ways just to help us make the game. And then hopefully would also be giving a lot of cool stuff to people who are like interested and hype about the game. And obviously it would be easier for us to invest more time in the game if we're making money from working on it. So that's the explainer. Frowns in former drama kid. You still say we voice acted ourselves. I don't think voice acting is going to work for the game because of multiple texts appearing on screen at the same time. Oh yeah, see, I haven't played 15. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. A Kingdom Hearts. I would actually love to do a Kingdom Hearts character ranking. Maybe I should do that one for next time. Managing expectations was oh no, I didn't. Oh yeah, if you guys want to, there we go. There's the Patreon. You guys can look. You can check it out. You can look at the tiers. You can pledge if you want to. Obviously, I appreciate that and thank you. I feel like I'm like, I don't know. I feel thank you. It feels embarrassing to be like, support my dream. But yeah, there's that. I will say that for the beta testing tier, we don't have anything out yet to beta test, but we kind of would like a lot of beta testers is what I'll say. So it's a cheaper tier, and like we're gonna be wanting opinions. We probably won't put out a build because we're doing alpha testing right now, but what we're doing in terms of alpha testing is right now we have the game running in basically the old engine, and we're still building up the new engine. So like where the game is at now, like it's really like not gonna keep most of that stuff because we're like reworking it on a fundamental. I mean, obviously we like built it all during like a game jam, right? So like it's very rushed in its current form, and like we had to make decisions based off of like how much time it would take us to complete the thing, and not about like what was actually good and would be fun in the game. So right now, like the state that it's in, like I wouldn't. The like feedback that we're looking for right now is just literally like, do you understand how to play? Does it make sense? Like, do you think it could work? Like, and so once we get the game working in like the new engine, that's probably when we're gonna start putting out tests. So those are the yes. What's your idea? Or you don't have to share it if you don't want to, but I'd be curious. A Persona character ranking. I did a Persona character ranking on my Patreon. The tier names are, oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. I came up with the tier names and I thought they were really funny and like nobody laughed at the joke. So I was like, I will say that the current person depicted under the peerless Lady Catherine de Bourgh is not actually her. That's actually Caroline Bingley. Right now, we don't have a sprite for Catherine de Bourgh. That's one of the things that we decided to expand after the game jam. We're like, we can put all of the characters in the game now. And like, it's fine. It's fine. I'm very excited about Pride versus Prejudice. I'm like dying with excitement about Pride versus Prejudice. It's fine, but I'm like, it's such a challenge for me as a writer. And I'm like, oh my God. And like the art and the music and like, everybody, it's fine. The whole team is great and I'm excited. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I'm very excited about it. Good night, Melia. Thank you for coming. But with a twist. Gotcha. Thanks, Rom. You are too. But yeah, so that's the announcement about Pride versus Prejudice. We're essentially like soft launching the Patreon right now because like I just said, the game will very shortly look very different because like John's also going to redo all of the art in basically a higher resolution so that we have more space on the screen. It's going to look amazing. I'm really excited. But so until we have that, we're not going to do like a huge push. So we're basically like we're soft pushing it. You're number 2? You're Patreon number 2? Hell yeah. Thank you. I'm very excited about it. I got to test it this past weekend, so I got to play it and I played it with Zek. I will say it's not great where it's at right now, but like I see the potential and I'm hype. I'm like there was like a moment that happened and I was like, yes, it's fine. Anyways, so yeah, that's all. That's what is happening. That's what I've been working on. I'm excited now that we're working on it because now I'm gonna get to like actually talk about my work on my Patreon for once. And I'm like really excited to do that actually. I'm like really excited to not be under an NDA. I'm very excited to not be under an NDA. One moment. I don't even know, like, I am no longer optimizing Cookie Clicker. We are no longer, like... There we go. We are no longer... There we go. We did our best. Interesting games do come from game jams. It's because, like, generally, game jams are when you have the option to do something that's just, like... Game jams are when you get to have fun making games. Because, like, a lot of times when you're making games, what you're having to do is, like, balance the audience expectations and the marketing and the publisher and, like, how much of a budget you have. And you have to stick in between all the things and, like... You know, you can't just make the fun game decisions that you want to make because what if it alienates the player base? Or what if it doesn't suit the genre? Or like, it's hard to market now. So game jams are when you get to go in and you get to be like, we're just gonna make a thing because it sounds fun to us to make right now. And then like you do. And really, really... cool things can happen at game jams because of that, but also game jams are like really stressful. Especially if there's like stakes during game jams, which there can be, because there's a lot of different kinds of game jams and how they work differs. So you have everything from like completely free game jams where it's just like you're just making games for fun and it's just to get experience, to game jams where like, you know, there's something in it for you. Either you're getting paid or like maybe the game that you're making could end up getting a publishing deal or something. And like, so it can run the gamut between like pretty chill just for fun and like, oh shit, I'm so stressed. They did that? Did they do that? I don't think that would be exciting. Because let me tell you, like, watching me during a game jam is watching me sit in front of a computer, type a whole bunch, get up, pace around nervously, and then sit back down and type in front of the computer. Like, that's me during a game jam. It's nothing exciting. I'm, like, sleeping, waking up, writing, sleeping, waking up, and writing. I know people who were part of the jam? What? What? Oh, hang on. No, what is this? Disney Game Jam reality show. Oh, how do I find... Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3... Ooh. Oh. Ooh. Okay. Oh, there's a lot of tea about this debacle, isn't there? Ooh. Oh, I'm remembering when this happened. Wasn't this like an age ago? 2014, yeah. I'm remembering this. Didn't they try to like get everybody to like fight each other? An unmitigated disaster. I am familiar with one of the people who was mentioned by name in the article that I read, but I don't think I've ever met them personally. Yeah. It's reality TV, of course they tried to get them to fight. Yeah. It's, from what I read very quickly, it said that the producers and the, the producers and the contestants had a lot of creative differences about the direction of the show, and I'm like sitting here like, because the other thing, like the other thing aside from them fighting each other is that a lot of times people who make this kind of stuff have no actual idea like how much time it takes to make a game. So like they'll be like, why don't you just make a cool like first person shooter, and you're like, because that takes like, for a team of, what, 4 people, that would take, like, 6 years. What do you want? You know? Fair enough, mistake. Got so bad the game devs hated the producers so much they functionally went on strike. Honestly, good for them. Of all of the people that you could pick to, like, try to mess with in the world, game devs are not it. Like, game devs are not thirsty for recognition the way that, like, a lot of times people go on reality TV shows because they want to, like, low-key launch a career as an influencer or as an actor or as, like, whatever, and they want to help get, like, you know, brand recognition for themselves. Game devs are really not that. Like, nerds are just not that. There was, like, that, like, King of Nerds show too, I think. High key, I know somebody who like got asked to be on that show, so I know how they were trying to like, I ended up watching the show. It was like, at least the first season was pretty fine from what I remember. I don't know, that was such a long time ago. My tastes have definitely changed. But I knew somebody who was like asked to be on that show, and like, they like wanted people to play characters and stuff, and like I just think that like I just think that like that's a hard sell for this segment of people to be in reality TV shows. Like, it's more like what happened with like The Circle season 1, which I won't spoil if you haven't seen it, but I'm like, that's what happens when nerds go on reality TV shows, not like an actual normal reality TV show. The Tester. What is The Tester? How many game-themed reality TV shows? Serialized reality program. Oh, competing in a variety of challenges to win a job at Sony Computer Entertainment in quality assurance as a game tester with a $5,000 signing bonus and a PlayStation. Really? I see. I see. I hate that a lot, actually. I don't like that. I don't like that, yeah. I mean, like, what they don't tell you, okay. It is incredibly toxic. Part of why it's toxic is what they don't tell you is that QA tends to be, and it shouldn't be, but it usually is, treated like the very first, it's like being a cashier at the supermarket. It's like nobody respects you. And like people tend to like QA tends to be one of the first jobs that like a game dev gets after going to college, and then like they get a QA job at some big company that they want to work at, and like it's supposed to be a foot in the door. A lot of the times it's like not, it doesn't really work out that way, because for a lot of different reasons, but like the fact that they were competing to work a QA job at Sony, like, I'm like, oh. Like, I'm just like, oh, that's... make bad reality TV. It's true. Nobody looks down on cashiers? And it made him beyond miserable. Yeah, that's... Yeah. Yeah. I haven't heard amazing things about Activision as well. They're, like, not all QA jobs are like that, because, like, QA is actually a really important and extremely valuable part of any team, so to treat QA like they're disposable is really just ignorant and bad, and, like... I don't know, do you want your game to suck? Because QA are the people who help your games not suck. But, like, it's very true that QA, like, it tends to be siloed off. Like, they're their own team. They don't get treated like they're a part of the rest of the people who actually make the games. Like, if you're QA, you don't actually make the game. Like, you're just QA. And, like... So there's a lot, and like part of it is because QA tends to be like contracted out positions. So they're not considered full-time positions that you like get and then you work there for a long time. They're expected to be high turnover. Like, and you're not like people who rise. It's just, there's a lot of disrespect there because people are jerks, and like they don't see that, like, I don't know, integrating QA with the rest, like, games in general are, like, a space where you need your disciplines to be talking to each other, because it's a very multidiscipline. You got, like, art, narrative, programming, you got other things, environmental design, and, like, gameplay systems, and, you know, you can have, it can get really microscopic, to be honest with you, as far as, like, how many different teams there are. But you generally want them all to be working together. This doesn't happen very often in QA because, like, once you get to the multi-million-dollar range of games, you're not, like, functioning. It's not like an indie where you're like, let's try to make the game as best as we can. Like, you are doing that, but it's coming with pressure from on high from all these people trying to be like, just so you know, this game is costing us millions of dollars to create, and if you don't get something good and marketable out very soon, we might pull the plug on all of you. And it's like really intense. Also, like, I'm exaggerating here, just to be clear. There's studios that aren't this bad to work at, but I'm just speaking from what I am familiar with. And so because of that, it, like, the instructions come down from on high, and so QA gets left to basically, like, clean up the mess that other people make. Whereas if you have QA like integrated in with the rest of the team, then you can like build up systems that make it like faster to QA test. QA can have really good suggestions for how to readjust systems and make the game more fun. Like lots of stuff like that. The problem is that with AAA, in order to implement any of that kind of feedback, you'd have to like by default add hundreds of millions of dollars to the budget. Like if it takes you 3 extra weeks to input a new feature, then like that's 3 weeks of paying 260 people their salaries, and that's a lot of money. And so like that's why it's not done. This is what happens when you only have one QA tester. Oof. Berlin cashiers were treated well. We need to pay people. We need to pay people who do. We need to pay people who do emotional labor so much more money, because emotional labor is actually really hard to do well. It's fine. It's fine, but like, whoa. Okay. Yeah, exactly, Dawn. Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. Low-skilled labor, sure. Have you ever tried not screaming at somebody who's like, have you ever tried? Do you know how much skill it takes? It's very common here in the US because we have that whole like the customer is always right thing. That's like bad. Don't have it. Everyone else has beat it. That's actually pretty, well, I don't know if that's pretty normal in AAA, but that's pretty normal for, like, devs usually test the game as they play. But with in a lot of cases with like AAA, it's just not possible because the game that you're making is so freaking big that like it can get really hard to meaningfully test out certain features. Yeah, AAA is like its whole own thing. It really is, because there is an art that has to come from managing like departments filled with like hundreds of different employees with hundreds of different specializations and like trying to communicate well across departments and all that. There's a lot there. Oh, you're getting a raise when you come back? Hell yeah. Good. You better get a raise. Loyal, well-working employees should get paid money. That's what I feel. It takes a lot of restraint. Want an itemized list of spelling and continuity errors? That's the funny thing is that that's like not what people I mean, like, obviously it's not what people QA for, but like, I rarely get the feedback. Like, people don't provide that feedback. Not QA, but just like even out in the rest of the world, people don't provide feedback about like grammar and spelling mistakes, so they just stay in games for ages. And I'm like, can someone please tell me when I've spelled something wrong? Like, there's a lot of text in this game and I'm gonna miss it. Yeah, I agree too. Like, loyalty for... it's fine. We don't have to go into it, but all I can say is that I'm very German about my wage opinions. You think you'd have a happy life? That would be, yeah. If Nomura had an editor. just like stopping and being like, yeah, so I'm just not sure that I understand what's happening. And he's like, what are you talking about? And so it's just like, yeah, I just like, okay, so they like walk through the door, right? Okay, into the darkness. Okay. And, but within the darkness, there is the light, but the door was light, but the heart of the planets are light, but they become dark. Okay. So when they walk through the door, like trying to like even they would have Kingdom Hearts would not be the same because they would have told him to cut some of the ideas that he had. He has too many ideas. He has so many ideas that it's really difficult for a player to juggle all the ideas and keep track of what's happening in the story. So they would have told him to minimize it and probably get rid of some characters too. Necro barista, interesting. The idea that Nomura understands what's happening. I know that he knows. I know that he knows what he's doing. The thing, I see Nomura as like a philosopher more than I see him as a storyteller, because I think that that's what he likes to do. Is he likes to play with these kind of really broad philosophical ideas about like humanity and like ideals and stuff like that, and he likes playing with the ideas more than he likes telling a legitimate story. And for some people, they also like that. Like, there's a certain segment of people who really like, it's not about the storytelling for them, it's about like the concepts that they get to play with after. See also hard science fiction. So like, or high science fiction. So I feel like it's not that it's an impenetrable story, is how I'd put it. Like, Kojima is more of a storyteller than a game dev. I haven't played enough of Kojima's stuff in order to actually know that. I would say, though, like, because, like, so I technically am a writer turned game dev. Even though I've been a gamer my whole life, I started out, like, finessing my writing, I guess you could. I started out in writing, learned how to write, finessed my writing, came to game dev, and learned code secondarily. You actually find that with a lot of games writers and a lot of narrative design people, that they do not have a writing first background. They pick up writing and they know how to play games, or they learn how to write from fan fiction or something like that, and that's how they do it. Listen, I'm just gonna put this out there. I'm not saying fan fiction is bad. I like fan fiction a lot. I learned a lot from fan fiction. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you shouldn't learn how to write from fan fiction. I don't think that you should, because it doesn't teach you the right skills. Because when you're working in a world in which the universe is already made for you and the characters are already made for you, you don't learn important skills that you need in order to tell a story. And it's not that you can't, but it's that it's much easier to learn those skills by writing your own stuff and trying to workshop your own stuff than it is to write about characters who already exist and trying to workshop that with people who are familiar with the franchise, because there's a lot more projection that can go on in terms of like, I already know how this character is going to act, so of course what you've written makes sense to me that they would say that. And it's a lot harder to like understand like how to establish a character, how to establish a scene, how to pace a story, how to describe something complicated in a universe that doesn't exist in our universe. So you have to be really clear about how you describe it, but it's not necessary, like it's a complicated thing, so it's not going to come off well to everybody. Like there's skills like that that you don't learn from writing fan fiction. That doesn't mean that fan fiction is bad or that there's not stuff to learn from it, but like I really do not, like I can usually tell when somebody is primarily a fan fiction writer and they haven't expanded beyond fan fiction to work on their own writing. And like, because there's very like noticeable patterns that emerge, generally speaking. So I would recommend learning outside or in addition to fan fiction. I just like, it's fine, but like, it's fine, but there's like, it's, yeah. As a TTRPG campaign where the DM's making stuff up session to session, yeah, that's Kingdom Hearts, that's very right. Sometimes you just gotta be weird. He's obsessed with movies a little too much for his own good. Yeah, I don't don't know, because, like, everybody writes stories and, like, they bring themselves to their storytelling, right? As much as I really don't enjoy Nomura's work, and, like, I don't. It ruins so much for me. I haven't been able to enjoy any Final Fantasy game because of you, Nomura! As much as I don't like Nomura's work, like, he brings who he is to his work, and clearly who he is and the stuff that he brings to his work is good enough that it appeals to millions and millions of people, right? So it's not like I think he's a bad storyteller, but he's doing quite well for himself, so who gives a heck what my opinion of him is, you know what I mean? And like, as much as I don't think he's a great storyteller, he is clearly doing things right, and Kojima too. And like, part of them doing things wrong, I think, is part of why people like them. Like, people love Kojima's stylism, even if that means that sometimes, like, you know, sometimes you're like, why was this decision made? You know? And people clearly really like Nomura's work, even though you're like, I can't follow any of this. You know what I mean? Polarizing. I never played Death Stranding, but I wanted to play it. I had heard a lot about Death Stranding. I've never actually seen it. I have a lot of, I wanna give it a shot because, like, I can't play a lot of Kojima games because they're like gross and scary, and like, I struggle with things that are like either grossly violent or very scary or just like hyper masculine. Not that there's things wrong with things being hyper masculine, it's just that it's not for me, it's not my taste, right? I'm generally like not a fan of like violence or just like stuff that's like primarily action or stuff that's like, you know, really stuff like that. So I'm not necessarily a fan. So Kojima has always read to me a lot like that, and I'm not like, I know that he doesn't have like the greatest of track record when it comes to how he portrays women, and like I know that that would make me mad. So I haven't been able to like engage with much of his stuff, even though I know a lot about Metal Gear because I was part of Did You Know Gaming. So it's kind of impossible to leave that job and not and not have like an understanding of a bunch of different game franchises and stuff. But almost not worth it from the pacing. So yeah, I might try Death Stranding out to see it, but I would need to buy a whole new, like, it's probably not on sale, huh? It's probably like $60. I don't know that I care that much. You'll say that much. Yeah, and I'm sure. I was thinking about which character was it? Zelda. I was thinking about Zelda recently. I wonder what you guys have to say about this. I was thinking about Zelda recently. And I was thinking about how, like, when we were growing up in the 90s and 2000s, she was like... I mean, but is Kojima... Okay, that's fair. I don't know, because I've never watched. It's a... Oh. Yeah, I'm not able to comment very well because I haven't read his stuff. I'm wondering, is that the fans' fault for him not communicating the theme, for them not picking up on the theme, or did he fail to communicate the theme / glamorized part of the theme in the process? Like war is bad only goes so far if your movie is also like, but look at how cool and heroic war is. You know what I mean? So I'm wondering if there was any of that in there, which I don't know because I've never played. So that's just my first guess. Yeah. But yeah, so I was thinking about Zelda recently, and I was thinking about how in the 90s and 2000s, everybody was like, Zelda's a bad lady character because she's a damsel in distress. And I was like thinking about that. And I really don't agree with that read of Zelda at all. I like really, really don't. And like, I know we were like big into that in the 90s and 2000s, weren't we? We were really big into like, Cinderella's actually not like she's bad because she just waits for a man to save her, and like that's not even what happens to her. Or like Belle is a, what is it? Belle's Stockholm syndrome, and like that's also not even what happened if you actually watch. But like I think Zelda got some of that too, is because everybody's like, she's just a princess who stands around and is wise and doesn't do anything, and I'm like, no, I think that's not crediting her with like how she's actually written. Actually, I think Zelda's actually pretty much a badass. Pretty much. She's the actual hero, really. Well, just before Breath of the Wild, Zelda. Bad faith criticisms from the time. Well, I'm thinking, like, think about, well, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. But she does that in, like, all of the games. Like, Ocarina of Time was a big one where everybody's like, Zelda's a damsel. She gets caught in, like, an energy cube and she's stuck there forever. And I'm like, Sheik, and also, like, the hero of time wouldn't be the hero of time if Zelda wasn't there in the beginning of the game, setting everything up for the hero of time. Like, there's a lot of situations in which Zelda is like, hello, and like, she doesn't get a big part in the game, so I get it. She doesn't get to be an engaged part of the story. And that's where I think the criticism is actually supposed to be coming from. Like, they're like, she doesn't get to be a meaningful part of the story because she's shoved off the screen and like she tends to be damseled. And like, that's fair. But to call her just a damsel in distress and to reduce her just to that aspect of her character, I don't think is fair, because in a lot of the games and the stories, she's the one who knows what is happening, and like she makes a whole plan and gives the entire plan to Link to execute, and he does, and the world is saved, like, multiple times. Like, Zelda's usually the one who makes the plan to save the world, not Link. Link follows her plans. So like, it's true that we don't get to see her do much, but I don't know if I would agree that she just sits around doing nothing the whole time, you know? Folks conflate Zelda with Princess Toadstool. I'm sure that they do. I'm sure, like, you know, people who've never really played a Zelda game or who don't remember, I'm sure that they do that. Isn't she trapped most of the time because she's extremely powerful yet typically working alone? Yeah, like, so like the thing behind so like, right. So you have the Triforce of wisdom, power, and courage, right? And the whole concept is that like Zelda's like literally royal bloodline, but also Triforce of wisdom. And they're like, well, we can't have him get all of us. So Zelda is gonna stay in a safe place, and then she usually gets kidnapped while staying in the safe place. And she gets taken by Ganon. So, like, that's the part that I get. But her being damseled doesn't make her a damsel. You know what I mean? Like, the fact that the writers decided to put her in that situation repeatedly doesn't mean that she's a character who, like, doesn't do things. It just means that the writers of the game never gave her anything active to do during the game. All of the stuff that she does in the lore is stuff that is done basically before Link gets there, usually. Those are clearly canon. My boy. No. How did I... That makes me sad, Yellow Ring, because that's one of the only Zeldas that I haven't played. Fleshes out the world off screen. Yeah. In Breath of the Wild, Link was a Link is always a glorified bodyguard. That's what I'm saying. Link is literally a person who's just like gets told what to do and then he goes and does it. And his valiance is that he's courageous enough to go do these things and to follow Zelda's instructions. But Zelda's the one who makes the plan. Link doesn't make the plan. Link gets credited with like, oh, he went out and he did all this stuff and he's so smart and cool. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. He solves puzzles, so we know he's smart there, but we don't know that he's smart enough to think up any of these plans because he never does. Zelda's always the one who thinks up the final plan for defeating Ganon, not Link. Like, it's always Zelda who's coming up with the plans, but somehow we, like, just projected that and we're like, Link does it. And I'm like, yeah, he executes the plans. But she came up with them. They're all her plans. And it's smart for them to not both go into any specific area, given that there's only two Triforces that Ganon generally doesn't have. And for them to go somewhere together would be bad because he could just grab them both at the same time. Like, you just need, like, you know, a bad circumstance for them both to be gotten. I don't know. I was thinking about it and I was, like, highly suspicious. Oh. Did that work? It's true, Chase. It's true. Yeah. Which, like, to be fair, is very like, Link is brave as hell. I'm not trying to diminish Link. I'm not trying to say that Link is bad. But I am trying to say that, like, upon closer examination, because, like, this is a thing that, like, as a writer bothers me a lot, is that I've been, like, thinking about, like, if the player / reader / viewer doesn't see it on screen, then as far as they're concerned, it doesn't happen. That's why we have flashbacks, right? Is because, like, telling the player that this character did all this cool stuff on screen is obviously not as good as showing that this character did all this cool stuff off screen. But there's a lot of occasions in books and stories and stuff where people will be doing really cool stuff off screen and you don't get to see it because it's important that you don't get to see it for plot-related reasons or whatever. And I've been thinking about how that affects the interpretation of a lot of different characters, but also especially female characters, because they tend to have, you know, I've been thinking about the double standard of the strong female character and how, like, that existing makes it so that you're not able to write, like, it made a bunch of people kind of, like, circle up in themselves so that now they're not making decisions based off of what makes sense for the character or the story. They're making decisions based off of whether or not this will make the person a strong female character. And, like, that, in my opinion, is not the way to approach something like that. So, I've been thinking about how specifically there's a lot of, like, soft character traits that we don't count, right? Like, if your hero is nice and kind... I love the links. If your hero is, like, nice and kind, those tend to be traits that we are, like, obviously, right? We, like, nice and kind are such nothing traits to us that, like, we don't even register them as, like, distinct traits that define a person, really. I think that's why, like, compassionate and, like, empathetic is now in vogue, because they're stronger versions of, like, nice and kind, and, like, they indicate something slightly different, whereas nice and kind is just what you say about literally everybody, so it doesn't mean anything anymore. And, like, a lot of character traits that are those kinds of soft skills can get, like, ignored in characters of either gender, from what I've noticed. It doesn't really matter. It just matters that those like gentleness or something, like these kinds of traits that are kind of, like, hard to describe. To put it in another way, it's similar to, like, I have this really big pet peeve about quiet characters. I get really frustrated with shy characters in games where, like, you know, dating sims and stuff, because, like, if there's a quiet character, it's either the stoic or somebody who's, like, stutteringly shy and can't speak, and, like, that's it. And, like, those are the two types of quiet people that we get. We don't get you can't be quiet and be anything else, because that's how we understand quiet people, is you're either a stoic badass or you're, like, incapable of speech, and that's why you're shy. So, like, I've been thinking about quiet characters that, like, have more of a personality and are neither really stoic nor shy, and I've been thinking about, like, what those look like and how to depict them. And so it's similar to that, where, like, you have, like, how do you depict a gentle, kind, heroic character in a way that feels distinct from the bland nothingness where like every character's technically that, so those traits don't mean anything to us anymore. You know what I mean? Hopefully that made sense. Samus. Oh dear. I think it can be. I haven't seen Squid Game, but I think Squid Game probably does that really well with one of the characters. I haven't seen Squid Game. I can't watch Squid Game, but I have read a lot about it because I can't watch it. And, like, I think that, like, that's... no spoilers. Absolutely none for anybody who hasn't watched the show, but I think if you've seen the show, you probably know who I'm talking about when I'm like, the nice one. Yeah, exactly, Chase. There's a lot of yeah, there's a lot, yeah. I get really frustrated by the lack of like personality diversity in shows because in stories, because we have like shorthand now, and we have like all these different character archetypes that we can choose from. And, like, because of that, we tend to write closer to archetypes than we do to real people, I think. And, like, I don't know. I've been very interested in, like, how do I take these traits that people don't see as, like, interesting traits and, like, bring them to the forefront in a unique way, because there's people out there who are like this and they don't get to see themselves represented in media, which, to a greater extent, in my opinion, means that they don't get visibility to like the people in their lives. Like, I don't think that it would be wrong to say that for some people, like, media is how they learn to recognize emotions and to have empathy for others and to understand like how other kinds of people other than them work and think and like react to things. And so if we're only putting out, like, quiet people who are quiet because they either are stoic as hell or because they're literally afraid to speak and they don't know how to assert themselves. So you can only either be, like, a badass who has a dark and troubled past and that's why you don't talk, or literally incapable in some way of being able to understand that talking is good. And I'm like, these are not good options. There's people who just don't talk because they just don't talk and they don't have anything, like, interesting to say, and those people should be represented well so that people understand them when they run into them in reality. Maybe I'm like... Anyways. It's fine. I've been thinking a lot. Yeah. I'm not saying that every character who is like that is that way, but I am saying that broad strokes, looking at media that I interact with, you tend to find more of the archetypes than you do, like, engaging character studies. I'm hearing what you guys are saying. I'm hearing what you guys are saying, that there are shy characters who have more depth. I agree with you. There's a lot of shy characters who have more depth. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that quiet characters have to be shy. You can't just be quiet because you're quiet. You have to be quiet because, like, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that there aren't really great depictions of shy people out there, but I'm saying that, like, there's more reasons than shyness for why people don't talk. Let me see half of it. Oh, it's a Netflix movie. Oh, I wanted to see this movie. I remember this one. I remember watching the trailer and being like, this seems like a movie I want to watch. Yeah, so I haven't seen it, but I am pretty hyped to see it. And say nothing. My dad's a quiet person. I tend to, like, befriend quiet people really easily, probably because my dad was a quiet person. And that's kind of like, I don't know. I just think that, I don't know, I guess I'm wanting to represent people in strokes that aren't as broad. I think that, like, you know, you go with shy because there's a lot of people who can relate to shyness. And, like, it's also a wonderful inherent thing that somebody can overcome, right? If your character starts out shy, then you have an automatic way that they can end the story having shown character growth, right? So it's easy. But I just think that, like, shyness is overutilized, is what I'll say. Hi, Zach. Depends on the context. I'm actually, like, I can be a very quiet person. No one ever believes me when I say that, though. But, like, I'm a person who, like, I need so much time by myself. You guys wouldn't believe how much I don't talk to people, actually, most of the time. I talk to a lot of people, but I don't talk to people. You know what I mean? I'm sure some of you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I need a significant amount of it. Yeah, same. Same. I've had to, like, so I always, like, grew up essentially being told that, like, not necessarily, like, by my family, but, like, just, like, generally by everyone or who I interacted with, that, like, the way I communicated with people was wrong. Because I'm just a very, 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 like, private, introverted person. I enjoy hanging out with people. I don't need to hang out with people. And I, like, wow, like, I only want to see a couple of people in a day. Generally speaking, it just really, like, people really make me tired. And I love being alone. I love thinking about things. I love learning about things. I love developing skills. Like, I really love being alone. And so I've always been this kind of person who, like, I don't, like, my first instinct when I'm stressed out, for example, is to go be by myself and to, like, handle it myself and not to tell people about it, not to talk to people that much. I don't, like, update people about my life well. I'm not, like, good at that. And so I was always kind of made to feel that that was wrong and that I needed to do better and be better in order to be a better friend. You know, you see those posts on Twitter about, like, if you're always texting your friend first, then drop that friend because they are worthless. And I'm like, I'm that friend. Like, I'm the friend who, like, I generally don't tend to text first. It's not that I can't. It's just that, like, I don't talk to people unless I think I need to, like, I'm like, oh, there's something to talk to them about. And then I go to them and, like, it's not in my brain to think that something happens in my life and to think I need to tell so-and-so that this happened. It's just not how I'm wired. But there's a lot of not understanding around that, I guess. You're so quiet that your parents ask, are you still there? Oh. All right, goodbye, Micah. Thanks for coming. People are energy vampires and they want to steal from me. Why does that feel relatable? It's been very easy to let friendships wither because of how much you enjoy solitude. Well, I think, like, that's what I'm talking about, is that, like, I've always, like, genuinely felt shame about this aspect of my personality because people tell me that it's wrong and it's bad and it's, like, hurtful to people and all of these, like, frankly, like, horror, like, oh my God, I don't want to hurt the people that I care about just because I am this way. And I also legitimately spent, like, eight, I think, since I was, like, in my early 20s, so we'll say 8, I spent, like, a really long time, like, trying to actively work on this, and, like, I can't do it. It's not how my brain works. it's just not like, it takes so much effort for me to be like that it's not really worth it, because like I'll get burned out and then hide even further in the shadows. So it like backfires spectacularly. And it just took a while for like my therapist to just sit me down and be like, Cara, just accept that you're like this. Like, your friends and family, they have to meet you where you're at. That's how it is. We all have to meet each other where you're at. This is where you're at. It's fine. You don't have to change it anymore. And like, it took a while for me to like understand that that's okay. That like, the people that I care about understand how I work. They understand that I am that way and they don't take it personally, and they know that I'm there for them in other ways, and that talking to them constantly is not the way that I show up. That doesn't mean that I don't show up though. And that's the thing that like, I think a lot of people miss out on, is that they think that if you don't show up in this one particular way, then it means that you're a drain on all of your friends and family and you're not providing anything to the relationship. And that's not true. That's just, I guess, the typical way that like that tends to present, I guess, in our society, or the way that people read that behavior. But that's not true. That's not true. So it does suck, but I have found, I mean, it depends on the friend. It really depends on the friend, but I have found that generally like people are very receptive to you being like, hi. I've had some friends who like I haven't spoken to for like 15 years and I'm like, hello, you know what I mean? And that tends to work out pretty well, but like it obviously depends on the circumstances. Oh, that sucks. I'm sorry, Yellow Ring. But like, I mean, part of it is compatibility. Like, if your energies are not compatible, like if being around a person drains you, then like you either need to figure out a way to like make that work, or you're probably not going to be friends. And like, that doesn't mean that anybody's doing anything wrong. It also can just have a lot to do with where people are at in their lives too, you know? Like, just some people are like, you know, people go through moments of crises, and when they're going through moments of crises, they tend to take more than they give, you know? They tend to be like, I'm like screaming about my house having burned down, so I don't have any emotional space to provide to you about your divorce or whatever, you know? And like, I don't know. I guess that's part of getting older though, is that like getting older is like seeing these things and like being like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. You don't know if you feel bad about it, but you do think of it as trivial in some ways, like keeping up with people. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a thing for individual people. Cause like some people like keeping up with them is really important, and it is important to like hit them up and be like, hey, how are you doing? And like, they really value that. And that's really like an important part of them feeling, you know, loved or cared for or looked after in a relationship. And so, I don't know. I figured out ways to do those kinds of things. Like, I'm like, let's set up a recurring phone call, because like, that's much easier for me than, it's not that I don't think about my friends or anything. It's just that I don't, my brain really doesn't work like that. It just really doesn't. I just like really don't. I'm just not a social person. I don't know. In that way. Or I don't have a social need in that way. Ruby! Oh, but I get into that too, where I like don't talk to somebody for a long time, and then I'm like, they probably hate me. They probably think that I'm an awful person. They probably think that I'm not worth being friends with because I'm not giving anything back to them. Yeah, I get that way too, Ruby. I'm sorry. Well, just so you know, I will never take it that way if you initiate a conversation with me after a long time, because that's like literally how I talk to people. It's just... Also, shout out to, like, if my mental health is in the pits, I just, like, I'm just gonna struggle to, like, I'm just gonna struggle in my, like, relationships with people. That's just, like, a thing. My my tendency is to hide and to like, you know, to burrow into under a rock and to like stay under the rock until I'm good and then to come back and resurface and be like, "Hi, sorry I vanished." That's like my full tendency. So it's like, yeah. I don't know, I just wish that there were that I feel like people should be allowed to do that. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I have relationships like that, Harvest, with a lot of people. And like for those of us, like when I have that relationship with somebody, it's like the kind of thing where we're like, you know, we're like, "Hey, I haven't spoken to you in 3 years, but I just want you to know you're one of the best people that I know, and if you ever need anything, hit me up." Like, you know, like, ah. That's also the other thing, Ruby. It took me a really long time to pick up on that, but there were a few friends that I had in the past who would constantly poop on me for not messaging them, but they never messaged me either. So what the hell? That's not, we're both as guilty as the other. Don't blame it on me. You know what I mean? That's people doing like the passive aggressive thing of like, I'm not going to message them first and see how long it takes them to respond to me, instead of like being like, "Hey, I want to talk to you about something. I really would like for you to reach out to me first. Sometimes it's important to me in relationships and it would help me feel closer to you." Like that's the responsible adult way that we handle that. I don't know. It's fine. You've been guilty of both. That's true. I have also done that before. I mean, I don't anymore. That's because I learned that it doesn't work. Huh. Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. Anyways, we've made 2.5 billion cookies by like not really doing anything. Let me pop the wrinklers. I haven't been finding, there's a spooky cookie. Been wondering where the rest of the spooky cookies are. There we go. Is that all of them? That's all the cookies! We've finally done it. Spooky cookies achievement. Yeah, I think with the reaching out, I don't necessarily know about that, but I think that I just think that I do think that there are other ways. I think that there are other ways to communicate that. Like, I think like maybe one person reaches out first a lot of the time, but maybe you always remember significant days and you send a message to them on their significant days, or you send them presents, or you know what I mean? Like, I think that there's other ways. Yeah. Feel valued, but try to make efforts too. Definitely. Definitely. Okay, so I am... Oh. Aw. That's on. Wow. Kudos to your friend for being direct with you. It's really hard to learn how to be direct with people, but it's really important. At least for me. So I don't do really well with like not directly communicating things to people. Yeah, I do better with like if we're gonna be friends, then you need to be a person who tells me when you're upset with me. If you're gonna be like randomly passive aggressive at me and I never know if I'm on good terms with you, we're not gonna be friends. Cause like that's just like, given my past history with like gaslighting and stuff, I find like passive aggression in that way supremely uncomfortable, and like it really puts my brain in a not super great spot. So like, I like can't do it. I can't really handle it when people are like that. But that being said, I know that it's really difficult to be more direct. So, you know, it sounds like you are. Okay. So it's been a while. It's been a long time. I'm probably going to wind down the stream because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling the stream right now. I'm feeling tired. Tight. So. Oh, yeah, that's really thoughtful. That's really thoughtful, Dawn. See, like, that's very nice. That's the kind of thing that I would like to get better at. Although I don't think that I'm actually that terrible about it. I'm just bad at knowing whether there's a problem in the first place, so it's kind of hard to ask about how the problems are going. You know what I mean? We all have our own individual strengths and weaknesses in relationship that we're working on. But here, let me swap over to IRL, and then we can start to share our one good thing for the day / thing that we're looking forward to. Hey! Hello. So, would you all like to share your one good thing that happened to you today, or one good thing that you're looking forward to tomorrow? I would say that my good thing today was Pride vs. Prejudice. I mean, I'm like very extremely hyped about it on a level that I can't even let me mute the game. I'm very, 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 very excited about it. So that's what I'll say. Oh yeah, you got the 100% on your spectroscopy exam. Congratulations! Well done. I will throw this out here. So if anybody does want to support the Pride vs. Prejudice Patreon, you can. There you go. Your good thing is that, yeah, you finished your first draft. Super congratulations, Harvest. That's such a huge accomplishment. It's awesome. What? 500 free bucks? Hell yeah. Damn, nice. Nice. Damn, there's a lot of good news coming out today. Yeah. Yeah. Relatable. We'll take what we got. We'll take what we can get. Yeah. I feel that. Yellow ring. You've been making alerts for friends. Oh, and you got a raise at work. Oh, well, hey, but you're making more money, so that's good. Well, it sounds like you're having a good time, Connor. That's awesome. Really? What? Real gamers? Oh my god. Hang on. That's so cool. I've like never in my life made it to the end of any gaming tournament, anything ever. That's awesome. That's very impressive. Oh, and a shooter too. I would not. I couldn't do it. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I would be able to. That's very impressive. Well done, Ruby. You're looking forward to going back to work? That's actually really nice. That's really nice. I'm glad that you're looking forward to going back to work. I wish more people would got to like look forward to it, you know? Left 4 Dead? Why? We have no idea what we're doing and you made it to the end. Maybe that's what made it happen. You guys like didn't know what you were doing, but it made you guys the what's the word that I'm looking for? Like the renegades. You were the, like, nobody could guess what you were gonna do next. You know what I mean? Spoopy zombie co-op. I think I might stick to Dark Souls. Or Smite, but with spooky skins. That's true. That's about to happen. It's true. That's about to happen here. It is true. So let me find somebody to raid. To pass it on to. Who do we have that is streaming? that I haven't raided in a little bit. Let's raid Lotus. Yeah, let's raid Lotus. The underdogs. Yeah. Okay. So we are going to be raiding Lotus Loves Lotus, who is a Rainbow Arcade friend of ours. Pronouns are she, her, and making sure I'm spelling the name right. Yep. And they're currently playing Jet, the Far Shore. I'm not entirely sure what this is, but it looks sci-fi. It looks sci-fi. I think they're investigating planets right now. I don't know what this game is, but I'm actually pretty curious about it. So, thank you guys so much for coming and hanging out. Blah, 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 socials. There you go. Yeah, so please chair dance and spread the love and joy to Lotus, who deserves to have some, like, happy... Damn it, again, Nightbot, with your freaking running out of the sub. Deserves to have some happiness. So, I will see you guys again later. Thank you so much for coming. This was very fun. Okay, bye-bye.